Chapter 2045. Night Sorrow, come on. Let's have a fight and show me your strength, Huang Jie said to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow nodded and walked to the arena. He knew that if he wanted to secure the first place, he had to accept the challenges from the top few participants. Duan Qianshui and Long Hao had already fought. Only Huang Jie and Lin Chuan were left. If he defeated the two of them, it would be more or less enough. On the arena, Night Sorrow waved his samsara halberd and nodded to Huang Jie. Huang Jie swung her long sword and executed the frozen space. She started to control the space around Night Sorrow. Although the frozen space wasn't as good as the frozen world, it was still a powerful controlling domain battle technique. If it couldn't be broken, all aspects of the battle technique would be reduced. After executing the frozen space, Huang Jie waved her long sword and charged towards Night Sorrow. This sword was also an absolute art. It was the Ice Phoenix race's wing slash. Void energy appeared on Night Sorrow's body. Then, a shockwave spread out in all directions. Huang Jie's frozen space was shattered by the shockwave from Night Sorrow's domain. Night Sorrow waved his samsara halberd and executed the void extreme kill. It hit Huang Jie's long sword, who was caught off guard. Following an explosion, Huang Jie's body was sent flying by Night Sorrow's halberd. She was blasted to the edge of the arena. Night Sorrow didn't chase after her. If he did, Huang Jie would probably be defeated. Huang Jie, who was standing at the edge of the arena, had a change of expression. She knew that Night Sorrow was strong, but she didn't expect him to be this strong. Putting aside the fact that he blasted his energy into her body, she couldn't withstand the immense power. Very strong. Let's try my absolute frost world. Green energy appeared on Huang Jie's body and blended into the surroundings of the arena. Then it pressed towards Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow was surrounded by ice. Huang Jie wanted to freeze Night Sorrow as well. After feeling Huang Jie's extreme cold world, Night Sorrow's territory switched to the reincarnation territory. With the release of his territory, the frozen space instantly melted. It was as if the impact did not reach Night Sorrow. The space around Night Sorrow was not affected at all. With a stomp of his feet, Night Sorrow used afterimage body. At the same time, he used void steps to get close to Huang Jie. Then he swung his samsara halberd at her. The extreme cold world did not have any effect. Huang Jie's heart was filled with shock. Her body flashed and dodged. At the same time, she continued to cast the extreme cold world. The scene turned into a chase. As a genius of the Divine Beast Ice Phoenix clan, Huang Jie's speed was also extremely good. The two attacks missed. Night Sorrow's reincarnation domain, which was originally only used to protect himself, rippled out in all directions and enveloped Huang Jie. After being attacked by the reincarnation domain, Huang Jie's momentum of heaven and earth, which was also the territory space, was suppressed. Only a small oval space was left to envelop her. In such a situation, her speed was greatly reduced. Desolate Nirvana Palm. Night Sorrow's left hand struck out a desolate Nirvana Palm toward Huang Jie's head. Then, the samsara halberd in his right hand displayed the Destruction True Dragon incantation. Huang Jie's long sword rose and blocked the desolate Nirvana Palm. However, the space-time influence of the desolate Nirvana Palm had stopped her body from moving. At the same time, her body was attacked by the Destruction True Dragon incantation. When she reacted, Night Sorrow's samsara halberd had already pierced through her protective energy and stopped in front of her throat. She could even feel that if she moved or dodged, her neck would be cut off by Night Sorrow's samsara halberd. If her neck was cut off, her flesh and blood could be regenerated. However, it would be ugly. She knew that Night Sorrow wanted to end the battle and wanted her to admit defeat. Huang Jie smiled and pointed at Night Sorrow's samsara halberd. Then she stepped back and cupped her hands at Emperor Tang to announce that she had admitted defeat. After Emperor Tang announced the result of the battle, the two of them returned to their seats. Huang Jie did not have any special emotions after losing. She was convinced of her loss. She knew that Night Sorrow had too many secret techniques that he had not displayed. In other words, she did not even have the strength to force Night Sorrow to use his secret technique. The space-time realm was the signature secret technique of the Yi family. Night Sorrow did not even use it. After returning to his seat, Night Sorrow did not sit down. This was because it was his turn to challenge. Lin Chuan, you only have one chance to challenge. There are too many variables and it might not be enough for you. This time, I will challenge you, Night Sorrow said to Lin Chuan. Bring it on. Lin Chuan's body flashed and appeared on the stage. Night Sorrow also returned to the stage. Night Sorrow, I have a high chance of losing this battle. However, no matter who wins or loses, I, Lin Chuan, am very impressed by you. Lin Chuan cupped his hands at Night Sorrow. The ranking is not important. I just want to fight to my heart's content and feel the strength of others. Night Sorrow smiled. Lin Chuan's battle intent surged as he stared at Night Sorrow. This battle is worth watching. It is different from the previous battles. In the previous battles, Huang Jie was good at defense. Lin Chuan's attack was countered by Huang Jie's extreme cold world. Therefore, there was nothing to watch. Night Sorrow is good at offense. Between him and Lin Chuan, it will be a battle of whose Dao of offense is stronger. Long Yixing said. To be honest, Night Sorrow has come in contact with too many experts. His vision, skills, and strength are no longer at the level of the Emperor Realm, Tran Heng said. That's right. He has seen the techniques of Long Zhe and the others in the Blood Qilan Mountain. He has also seen Mo Tianji's techniques. On the Reincarnation Island, he also clashed with Mo Yutian twice. Although his cultivation is at the Emperor Realm, his strength is at the Emperor Realm, the Grand Elder said. Although he has a high chance of winning, I am still looking forward to this battle. Heavenly Astral Monarch said. Night Sorrow, I Lin Chuan am from the White Tiger race. Although I have lost, I hope that I will lose honorably. I hope that you can fight in your strongest state. Lin Chuan said to Night Sorrow. I have been suppressing my desire for battle in this heaven ranking competition. The main reason is that I don't want to hurt the confidence of others. However, to be honest, it is uncomfortable to fight conservatively. Let's fight with all our might. Night Sorrow took a deep breath, following which, the energy on his body exploded. It was the reincarnation territory. Golden light appeared as the territory was supported by the power of virtue. It spread out in all directions. Lin Chuan's expression changed. He realized that the territory he released was being suppressed. At this moment, Night Sorrow was in the air. The reincarnation halberd was slashing towards him. The space was already unstable. Night Sorrow's halberd was launched with a battle technique. Lin Chuan could feel the intense vibrations, fluctuations, and penetrating power. Run. Lin Chuan immediately ran. He knew that he couldn't take Night Sorrow's attack head-on. If he did, he would be injured and there would be no chance for him to continue fighting. Lin Chuan used a movement skill that he had never used before. He cut through space to dodge Night Sorrow's attack. This scene made everyone dumbfounded. Originally, they thought that it would be a fight. However, it had turned into one side attacking and one side running. It was completely incomparable. Chapter 2046. With a turn of his body, Lin Chuan landed outside the martial arts arena. However, there was a muffled sound behind him. Night Sorrow's halberd had created a huge hole in the solid arena. Looking at Lin Chuan who landed outside the arena, Night Sorrow was stunned for a moment. Didn't we agree to have a good fight? Why are you running? Do you think I'm stupid? Lin Chuan looked at Night Sorrow speechlessly. Too boring. Night Sorrow's right hand shook and the reincarnation heavenly halberd landed in the holster on his back. Boring. Even if I'm bored, will I still be good? Lin Chuan heaved a sigh of relief. He knew that it was because he ran fast. Otherwise, Night Sorrow would have been seriously injured and vomited blood. After Night Sorrow sat down, Emperor Tang announced the result of the battle. Lin Chuan had also returned. He was still in shock from the battle. He was mentally prepared to lose, but he didn't expect to lose so easily. Night Sorrow, you are so unkind. Can't you leave me some face? After sitting down, Lin Chuan looked at Night Sorrow and said, How am I unkind? You were the one who strongly requested for me to fight in my strongest state. In the end, you were a coward and ran out of the arena. What else do you have to say? Huang Jie looked at Lin Chuan with disdain. What do you mean by that? Can't you see the situation? You are ruthless. You can try again later. Lin Chuan was speechless. I'm not as stupid as you, Huang Jie replied to Lin Chuan. After resting for a while, the third round of challenges began. However, Night Sorrow and the few people around him kept talking. Great Commander, after this meeting of heroes is over, I plan to go into seclusion for a period of time. Lin Yun said to Night Sorrow. Will you choose Reincarnation Island or return to the Bloodchelan Mountain tribe? Night Sorrow asked. It's the same. I will talk to Great Commander when the time comes. Lin Yun wasn't sure herself. After sparring with others, she had some inspiration. In the past, she had never fought with anyone, so she lacked actual combat experience. Now she had made up for it. Night Sorrow, is Samsara Island still recruiting? Lin Chuan looked at Night Sorrow and asked. I need to think about it before accepting others. If you want to go, that's not a problem. But first, you have to abide by the rules of Samsara Island, Night Sorrow said. Lin Chuan nodded. I understand. We'll talk more after the conference. After the third round of challenges began, some people gave up. The original ranking was very fair, and with the addition of 2 rounds of challenges, there was no room for further challenges. Long Jin fought a battle, and was ranked 15th. He was a 7-star emperor, which meant that he was a low-level emperor. This achievement was already very hard to come by. Long Hao challenged Duan Qianshui, but Duan Qianshui still had an ultimate move. Long Hao lost and was still ranked 6th. After Long Hao, no one else challenged him. Lin Yun also gave up. When it was Lin Chuan's turn, Lin Chuan looked at Huang Jie and said, Let's postpone our battle for a while. We definitely have to fight. Do you think I'm afraid of you? Huang Jie snorted. Lin Chuan didn't challenge, so it was Huang Jie's turn. Looking at Night Sorrow, Huang Jie gave up the challenge. She knew that there was no hope at all. Night Sorrow's battle with her was completely a joke. If she fought with Lin Chuan in that state, she would also be defeated instantly. When it was Night Sorrow's turn, Night Sorrow stood up. Elder Emperor Tang, there is a limit of 5 challengers. What about the challengers below? Night Sorrow looked at Zhuge Hou. Now that there was nothing else, he wanted to teach Zhuge Hou a lesson. Night Sorrow, forget it. Some things can be discussed later. After all, this is the meeting of heroes. Emperor Tang understood Night Sorrow's intentions and tried to dissuade him. Tran Hung also shook her head at Night Sorrow. Then let's postpone it for a while. Night Sorrow sat down after he finished speaking. Zhuge Hou heaved a sigh of relief. He was afraid that Night Sorrow would challenge him. If Night Sorrow challenged him, he could only admit defeat. Once he was in the arena, Night Sorrow would definitely kill him. If he was slow to react, he might not even have the chance to admit defeat. After the challenge ended, Emperor Tang announced the result to the judges. Tran Hung stood up and took out a golden scroll. She then threw it into the air and engraved the names on it. 30 names were constantly emitting golden light. Night Sorrow's name was the most dazzling, and it steadily suppressed the names below. After keeping the scroll, Tran Hung threw the scroll to the Grand Elder. In the future, the 4 rankings will be kept by the Elders Association. Remember, everyone is a cultivator. Everyone should be proud to be on the rankings. In the future, the meeting of heroes will be held once every 1,000,000 years. Tran Hung explained and then turned to leave. He was very satisfied with the meeting of heroes this time, because the humans performed very well. The Yi family took the first place on the 3 rankings. This was the rise of the human emperor's family, and it was unstoppable. QD head H hair J sharp, Night Sorrow, you and your Yi family are the big winners this time. Do you want to invite everyone for a feast? Blood Kirin King Chirwei stood up from the judges' seats and came to Night Sorrow's side. That's for sure. Do you want to hold it in the mansion or in the Night Moon Villa of the Ethereal Empire? Night Sorrow was a little hesitant. Let's hold it in your mansion. Whoever wants to go can go. If you want to go to the Night Moon Villa of the Ethereal Empire, it would be more convenient to have the teleportation circle. However, it would be troublesome to invite this and invite that. It would be inappropriate to not invite them, the Golden Dragon King said. All right. Night Sorrow felt that the Golden Dragon King's words made sense. If it was held in the mansion, no one would be picky. Nanyong, you guys bring the team back. Also, go and get some good wine and meat for the brothers to reward them. Night Sorrow said to Nanyong. Nanyong brought the people of the Reincarnation Island back. Night Sorrow also brought the people of the Humanitarian League back to the mansion. Everyone was very happy. This meeting of heroes brought both fame and fortune to Night Sorrow, the Humanitarian League, and the Reincarnation Island. Night Sorrow received the guests. Pu Luo, the Great Demon King, Lin Piaomiao, and the other people of the Humanitarian League were discussing things in the attic. They were discussing how to get rid of Zhuge Qian. First, let me state our attitude. Zhuge Qian is a scum. We are not taking care of him because of his grudge with the League Master. It's the Humanitarian League's responsibility to get rid of a scourge like him, Pu Luo said. Then don't tell the League Master. The League Master accepted his own punishment last time. If we let him get rid of Zhuge Qian again, it will affect his reputation. Let's split up now and gather at my mansion at night. Then we will kill Zhuge Qian together. Zhuge He won't let him live either. We will kill him along the way. The question is, how confident are we? Yu Zhu asked. He's about the same as me. Sect Master Lin, and the Great Demon King won't let him escape. I can kill him myself. To prevent any accidents from happening, let's do it together, Pu Luo said. Then, the few of them settled the matter, and went to do their own things. Chapter 2047. Night Sorrow, you have to secure your first place on the heaven list. Don't let anyone catch up to you. Lin Chuan and Huang Jie appeared. You or her. I'll be going for the Heavenly Tao Emperor Tribulation later. If you guys want to challenge me, you'd better hurry up. If you don't, your chances will get smaller and smaller. Night Sorrow said. Huang Jie and Lin Chuan looked at each other and sighed. Accept our fate. It's our sorrow to live in the same era as you. You're here. Let's have something to eat later. Night Sorrow invited the two to sit down. Don't worry about us. I'll go and meet the elders. Huang Jie went to the pavilion where Heavenly Astral King and Huang Ling were. I don't have many friends. I came to Tianhuang City with a token from the elders in my tribe. Lin Chuan said. Your White Tiger tribe doesn't interact with Tianhuang City? Night Sorrow asked, puzzled. According to Night Sorrow's understanding, the White Tiger tribe was more mysterious than the Black Tortoise tribe and the Vermilion Bird tribe. They rarely appeared. Not really. It's mainly because the White Tiger tribe fought with the experts from the outside world once. The impact was greater, and more than half of our tribe members were lost. The Grand Elder ordered that unless something big happened in the celestial realm, the White Tiger tribe would be sealed. Lin Chuan said. I understand. I've been to the White Tiger constellation once. Haha. If you don't have any friends, I'll take care of you. Night Sorrow brought Lin Chuan to a guest room. Since you, Night Sorrow, treat me as a friend, I won't be unreasonable. You don't have to be too polite with me. Lin Chuan nodded to Night Sorrow. The banquet was held in the evening. Lin Piaomiao returned to the Ethereal Empire, and invited the best banquet master in the Ethereal Empire to organize it. To the surprise of the guests, Tran Hung and the Grand Elder were both present. Look at the original version of chapter and section N on P. Night Sorrow. I'm happy to see you rise. You're going to take on a big responsibility. I won't say anything about you confining yourself to the Reincarnation Island for 30 years, nor will I object. You can settle down on the Reincarnation Island, Tran Hung said after receiving a toast from Night Sorrow. Thank you for your support and encouragement, Castellan. Night Sorrow saluted Tran Hung. Your Yi clan has done well this time. Your clan has taken 3 rankings out of the 4 rankings. If you were given some time, your accomplishments would be even greater. Also, I have some personal matters to tell you. Do you still remember Duan Qianshui? He is a descendant of my family. He wants to join the First Army. What do you think? The Grand Elder was also very happy. At the same time, he threw out a sentence that shocked Night Sorrow. There were many humans, but their cultivation talents were not as good as the divine beasts. Duan Qianshui was able to stand firmly at the 5th place of the Emperor Heaven ranking. This showed that he was very outstanding. Of course, but I have to think about how to arrange it, Night Sorrow said after being surprised for a moment. He knows the rules. He has to follow the rules of the Reincarnation Island. If he doesn't listen, you can deal with him however you want. Come here. The Grand Elder shouted at Duan Qianshui, who was sitting in the corner. He came with Long Hao. Knight Sorrow also received him, but he didn't expect him to be a descendant of the Grand Elder. Greetings, Commander Yi. I want to join you because I feel that the soldiers under you can do something. I will also follow the rules set by you. This has nothing to do with the Grand Elder being my ancestor. Duan Qianshui also expressed his attitude. Alright, Lin Chuan also wants to join the Reincarnation Island. We all know each other, so we can talk more when the time comes. Knight Sorrow nodded at Duan Qianshui. Then Long Yixing spoke and directly shoved Long Hao to Knight Sorrow. In his words, you can hit and scold him if you want. Since Long Yixing spoke, Knight Sorrow naturally had to accept. Everyone who came to Knight Sorrow's residence sincerely gave Knight Sorrow and the Yi family their blessings. They also paid close attention to the forces of the Reincarnation Island. While drinking, the Golden Dragon King looked around, and then looked at Knight Sorrow. Where are your brothers from the Humanitarian League? Where did Pu Luo and the others go? Knight Sorrow turned around and stood up. He realized that the elders of the Humanitarian League were gone, including Lin Piaomiao. Luo, where are Sister Xian'er and Pu Luo? Yishang asked Mandela when he didn't see anyone. Elder Pu Luo and the others left at noon. Sister Xian'er arranged a banquet for them, but they were still there. I didn't see them after that. Datura said. *T. Knight Sorrow knew that something bad was about to happen. Longjin, go to Zhuge Qian's residence and stop them. Tianyu, go to their residences and look for them. At this moment, 2 old men arrived at Yishang's residence and reported something to the Great Elder in a low voice. Knight Sorrow, you don't have to arrange anything. Pu Luo, the Demon King, Ruisi Yuzhu and Elder Lin went to Zhuge Qian's residence and killed him. Zhuge He was not spared either. After killing Zhuge Qian, they went to the holy capital. The Grand Elder shook his head helplessly. Knight Sorrow slapped his forehead. How will the elders deal with this? Knight Sorrow, will take the blame. He originally planned to improve his cultivation and deal with Zhuge Qian. He didn't expect Pu Luo and the others to act faster. Tianhuang City doesn't forbid martial arts. The elders only care about racial wars and things that hurt the celestial realm. They don't care about conflicts between individuals and forces. At most, they can persuade people to reconcile. Zhuge Qian was killed because he didn't have the ability. The elders can't do anything about it, Tran Heng said. Knight Sorrow, you have to talk about Pu Luo, the Demon King and Elder Lin. Zhuge Qian is problematic, but if you don't do something about it, people will think that the Humanitarian League is too overbearing. The Grand Elder said. Knight Sorrow will talk about it. Knight Sorrow was worried about the same thing as the Grand Elder. He was worried that people would say that the Humanitarian League was too overbearing. Pu Luo is the successor of the Law Enforcement Grandmaster, the Great Demon King, and Grandmaster Lin, the Great Elder and the Discipline Grandmaster. This is too worrying. The Grandmaster shook his head. Actually, it's nothing. Zhuge Qian was too much. He deserved to die. The Golden Dragon King said. He was happy to hear that Zhuge Qian was dead. Kill when you need to. This is true bravery. This is what the Humanitarian League should do. The Heavenly Astral King also supported the Humanitarian League. He knew about the things that happened after Zhuge Qian appeared. This is a small matter. That Mo Tianji should still be in the Ethereal Dynasty. You have to be careful. Some opportunities can't fall into her hands. Also, I'll leave Reincarnation Island to you. You can't let the demon-winged race land on the island. You can't let them do anything on Reincarnation Island. Tran Heng stood up and left after reminding Knight Sorrow. Grand Elder, don't be angry. I'll ask them to come back now and apologize to you. Knight Sorrow's body shook. His clone left the mansion and went to the teleportation array. Chapter 2048. There were cultivators who had their memories sealed, and there were also cultivators who had reincarnated. Most of them would awaken their memories at the 8th level, and the latest would not be past the 9th level. In other words, after entering the 9th level of the Martial Emperor realm, some memories would appear. Currently, Mo Tianji couldn't contact Jun Xuanji. She didn't dare to look for Jun Xuanji, because she didn't dare to move. The divine capital and the heavenly desolation city were absolute forbidden zones for her. Whether it was the heavenly desolation city lord or King Yawu, it would be too easy for them to kill her. They wouldn't be like Lu Chiha and the others, who would leave her a chance to live. Under such circumstances, Mo Tianji quickly increased her cultivation while waiting for Jun Xuanji's soul to awaken. Jun Xuanji's soul would awaken when he entered the Divine Emperor realm. At that time, Jun Xuanji would have 2 sets of memories. Once Jun Xuanji confirmed that she was Mo Tianji, he would contact her. While she was thinking, Mo Tianji also heard some news about the meeting of heroes held in Tianhuang City. This made Mo Tianji give up on the idea of going into seclusion in the space world. She wanted to wait for a while. The meeting of heroes would have a result soon. Perhaps she could analyze the situation of the heaven realm from the results of the meeting. Chapter 10, Section 1-4. Night Sorrow arrived at the Humanitarian League headquarters. At the moment, the other 6 core members of the Humanitarian League were there. Night Sorrow, why are you here? Lin Pumiao asked. You killed Zhuge Qian. How could you hide such a big thing? Why didn't you call me? Did something happen? Why didn't I shoulder it with everyone? Night Sorrow sat down and said, Zhuge Qian is different from Yu Kuan. Yu Kuan was marked as a traitor in the Elders' Council. We can kill him. But Zhuge Qian is different. Zhuge Qian is the great guardian of the Divine Devil Castle. It's normal for the Elders' Council to have some reaction after killing him. But if we leave, we don't have to accept the punishment from the Elders' Council, Pu Luo said. Yes, they can't expel us from the Elders' Council. Then we just have to hide. Great Demon King said after taking a sip of tea. If you run away, what's the point of me staying in the heavenly desolate city? I'm a little angry, but I'm not angry because you guys killed people. I'm angry because you guys isolated me and didn't want to bear the burden with me. Night Sorrow looked at the people present and said, Pu Luo and the Great Demon King didn't answer Night Sorrow's question because this was what they lacked. Follow me back to the heavenly desolation city. The Grand Elder is still in my residence. We just need to explain the situation to him. The City Master has made it clear that the Council of Elders is responsible for the stability of the celestial realm and the war among species. We won't interfere in personal conflicts, Night Sorrow said. Good. Regardless of whether the Council of Elders cares or not, if the Grand Elder knows about it, we have to explain it to him. The Humanitarian League still needs to develop. Pu Luo nodded. Night Sorrow led the 6 members of the Humanitarian League back to his residence in the heavenly desolate city. Pu Luo, what happened to you? If there's a problem, solve it. How can you run away? Grand Elder looked at Pu Luo and asked. It's not running away. It's not easy to face it. Zhuge Qian deserved to be killed. We didn't do anything wrong by killing him. The Council of Elders will punish us, but we can't openly oppose it. It's difficult for us. Pu Luo said. I want to teach you guys a lesson, but it's not a punishment. I'm an elder and have the obligation to watch you guys walk the right path instead of acting recklessly. But since you guys are back, let's not talk about it anymore. Sit down. Grand Elder waved his hand at Pu Luo and the others. Pu Luo, the Great Demon King, Lin Piaomiao, Ruixi, Yu Zhu, and Fen Tian were all elites of the human race. They were all bloodthirsty seedlings. The Grand Elder valued them, so he didn't want them to be estranged from the Council of Elders. This was also the reason why he didn't stop Night Sorrow from calling them back. The celebration banquet was still going on. It was only slightly affected by Zhuge Qian's death, but it wasn't really affected. Huang Jie, Heavenly Astral King, Huang Ling, and Wu Lingfei sat at a table that was relatively far away. Huang Jie, don't you have any thoughts of joining the Reincarnation Island? Heavenly Astral King asked. Heavenly Astral King, I've thought about it. But because of this elite assembly, I've seen the battle between Commander Knight and Lin Chuan. I have some inspiration. I feel that there are still many things that need to be improved in the Arctic world. I plan to return to the tribe and cultivate. Huang Jie spoke her thoughts. There's nothing wrong with your thoughts. But if you miss today, it won't be so easy for you to join the Reincarnation Island. Today, Night Sorrow didn't reject anyone because of some elders. It's hard to say what will happen in the future. Huang Ling said. The Reincarnation Island is a gathering place for elites. But I don't have to join. I have my own path. Huang Jie said. Heavenly Astral King shook his head and didn't speak. Huang Ling wanted to say something, but she didn't either. As the banquet came to an end, some people who weren't close to Night Sorrow left. Huang Jie also bowed to Heavenly Astral King, Huang Jie, and Wu Lingfei before leaving Night Sorrow's residence. Father, Mother, you still have something to say, but you didn't, Wu Lingfei asked as she watched Huang Jie walk out of the residence. Yes, I wanted to persuade him, but I felt that it was meaningless. Some opportunities were forcefully given, and the nature changed, Heavenly Astral King said. Father, I don't understand. Wu Lingfei shook her head. Silly daughter, think about it. Why are so many elites gathered around Night Sorrow? This was fate, and it was also fate. Those who are close to the body of merit are blessed with providence. This is a very simple principle. Night Sorrow is not simply a body of merit. He is a merit monarch, comparable to the human sovereign of the previous reincarnation. The cultivators around Night Sorrow, if they are not idiots, will have some achievements. This is also the reason why some people are willing to speak up and send their juniors to Night Sorrow's side. Huang Jie doesn't like it and can't see through this opportunity. There is no other way. Huang Ling looked at her daughter and said. Her eyes were full of love. She only had one daughter, and she had only been by her side for a short time. In addition, Wu Lingfei was sensible, so her love for her was particularly strong. She naturally explained in detail what Wu Lingfei asked. After Wu Lingfei understood the reason, she shook her head helplessly. Baby, why aren't you saying anything? Heavenly Astral King smiled. Father, if others look down on Night Sorrow, I might say that they don't know what's good for them. Huang Jie is from the Ice Phoenix clan, so I can only say that I am helpless. Wu Lingfei poured a cup of wine for Heavenly Astral King and said, Right, daughter. What do you plan to do next? Your mother and I have come out of seclusion. You don't have to stay in the Ice Phoenix clan. You can develop wherever you want. Your mother and I will support you, Heavenly Astral King said. Thank you, Father. Thank you, Mother. I want to go to Reincarnation Island. The members of the God-slaying team are like family to me, Wu Lingfei said. Heavenly Astral King and Huang Ling nodded, supporting Wu Lingfei's decision. Daughter, the celestial realm is a bit chaotic. You have to be careful. Mo Tianji is still in the celestial realm. This is a hidden danger. Take this spirit pearl. Huang Ling handed Wu Lingfei a white pearl. Chapter 2049. Mother, you've given me a lot of treasures recently. What's this for? Wu Lingfei asked while holding the white ball. Your father and I only have one daughter. If I don't give you treasures, who should I give them to? This spiritual pearl is a protective spiritual pearl. It was refined with an iceberg as its core. Its defensive power is very strong. My soul power is inside. As long as you activate it, I'll know and rescue you in time. Huang Ling smiled. Thank you, Mother. Wu Lingfei hugged Huang Ling. Heavenly Star, I was very unwilling to accept the chief of the Ice Phoenix race. Because of this chief, our family was separated for a long time. Huang Ling looked at her husband and said, I understand. This rule is a bit unreasonable. However, it involves ourselves. It's too selfish of us to oppose it. However, this kind of thing can't happen to me. I'm a rare golden phoenix of the Ice Phoenix race. I'm qualified to change some clan rules. We'll talk about this later, Heavenly Astral King said. Heavenly Star, you've changed. Some things don't even need a reason. Hearing Heavenly Astral King's words, Huang Ling raised her head and looked at him seriously. It's just that I've figured out some things. In Night Sorrow's words, no matter what my status is in the Ice Phoenix race, I'm first and foremost a father and husband. I have the responsibility to make my family happy, Heavenly Astral King said. Yes, first of all, our family must be happy. Then there's other things. Huang Ling was a little emotional. Night Sorrow sent the guests away. Those who didn't leave were the ones who stayed in the mansion. Several people from the Humanitarian League were in the lobby of the mansion. Night Sorrow, what do you think we should do next? The Great Demon King asked. There's no need to really destroy the Zhuge family. After all, Only Zhuge Qian and Zhuge He have bad characters. If we kill them all, it'll seem like we're not magnanimous enough, Night Sorrow said. Then let them go. If the Zhuge family doesn't know when to stop, then we'll be ruthless. Puluo nodded. I'll be going to Samsara Island in a couple of days. I'll have to confine myself for 30 years. You can deal with the Human Tao Alliance as you see fit, but there are some things you can't be too radical about, said Yishan. Don't worry. It was our fault this time. There will be no such thing in the future, Puluo said. After killing him, we also felt that it was inappropriate. The Humanitarian League is a brotherhood. No matter if it's a good thing or a bad thing, we have to face it together. We shouldn't have left you out, Yuzhu said. It's not a big deal. As for the matters in Star Moon City, all of you can help me look after them as well. However, I'm still worried about the Misty Kingdom. After all, Mo Tianji might be in the Misty Kingdom and Star Moon City, Night Sorrow said. If he dares to come out, I'll kill him. The Great Demon King clenched his fists and said. After chatting for a while, everyone went to rest. Night Sorrow, Lin Piaomiao, and Datura stayed in the main hall of the mansion. I'll leave the family to you. If anything happens, immediately enter the Nine Zones world to defend. Let's not talk about the celestial realm. In the Nine Zones world, it won't be easy for anyone to cause trouble, Night Sorrow said. Don't worry. If Mo Tianji wants to cause trouble, she'll have to show her strength first. The Yi family isn't weak. If she dares to come out, don't let me catch her. If I catch her, I'll kill her, Lin Piaomiao said. I know you're not weak, but you still have to be careful. I'll ground myself for 30 years. During this time, you have to make sure I don't have to worry, Night Sorrow said. Seeing that Night Sorrow was still worried, Lin Piaomiao thought for a moment and told Night Sorrow that after Night Sorrow went to Samsara Island, the Yi family would return to the Chaos Realm to develop. They wanted to settle down for 30 years. This way, I'll be more at ease. If anyone wants to break through to the Emperor Realm and needs to feel the Celestial Realm's aura, you can go to Xingyue City. It's stable there, Night Sorrow said. The Nine Zones world didn't have the shackles of the Emperor Realm, but some of the shackles in the Chaos Realm still existed. After telling Night Sorrow, he felt more at ease. After a night's rest, Night Sorrow called Lin Chuan, Long Hao, and Duan Qianshui together. Lin Yin was also there. Lin Yin, what's your decision? Night Sorrow asked Lin Yin. I'm going to Samsara Island, Lin Yin said. Update. Fast unspecified currency * go up Lin Chuan. Do the three of you have anything to do? If you do, take care of it. If not, we'll set off later. Night Sorrow looked at the three of them and asked. They'll know whether I'm going or not, Lin Chuan said. Duan Qianshui and Long Hao also said that they didn't have anything to do. Lin Yin, bring them to the encampment first. As for the arrangements, I'll take care of it later, Night Sorrow said to Lin Yin. Lin Yin left with Lin Chuan and the others. Night Sorrow went to the Heaven Wasteland Tower and cupped his hands. Then he went to see the Grand Elder and bid him farewell. Go. 30 years of self-confinement is also a time for you to settle down. It's also time for you to develop. As for the stability of Star Moon City and Ethereal Imperial City, I'll take care of it. As for Duan Qianshui, you don't have to worry about him. He's my descendant. It's better to be strict with him. If he doesn't rise, then our Duan clan will really decline. I'm the Grand Elder. I have to think for the Celestial Realm, but I have my own feelings too. I don't want my descendants to decline, the Grand Elder said. Night Sorrow understands. I'll do my best. Night Sorrow nodded. He was also a parent. He knew how much the Grand Elder cared about his descendants. Night Sorrow left the small world of the Grand Elder and returned to his mansion. He had a drink with a few people from the Humanitarian League. Then he went to the encampment of the First Army. The matters in the Heaven Wasteland Tower have been settled. We'll head to the Reincarnation Island now. Now each division, take your men and set off. Night Sorrow gave the order to set off. After Night Sorrow gave the order, each division and their men set off. After half an hour, the 4 divisions gathered at the Demon Mountain encampment. Nanyang, take your men and guard here. You can keep in touch with the Broken Mountain encampment. The 2 encampments can communicate with each other. Also, set up a teleportation formation. When there's no battle, no one is allowed to use it except for commanders and captains. It must be guarded by someone. It's a strategic teleportation formation. Night Sorrow said to Nan Yong. Then, Night Sorrow led the others to the Broken Mountain encampment. After arriving at the encampment, Night Sorrow's original body went to the area with the strongest void vortex. He continued to cultivate in the encampment where he had been cultivating. As for the daily affairs, his doppelganger could take care of them. While his original body went to cultivate, Night Sorrow's doppelganger called the commanders Lin Chuan, Lin Yuan, Long Hao and Duan Qianshui to his tent. He had to make some arrangements. After waving his hand for everyone to sit down, Night Sorrow looked at the Golden Dragon King who came back with him. Lord Golden Dragon King, do you have any opinions on the arrangements? This king is only here to prevent the enemy's giants from attacking. You can decide everything else. The Golden Dragon King shook his head. Chapter 2050. Night Sorrow nodded. He knew that the Golden Dragon King wouldn't ask about these things. He asked out of respect. Our Reincarnation Island's Heaven Wasteland Army will become the strongest and most united army in Heaven Wasteland City in the future. Nan Yong, you'll be stationed at Demon Mountain. I can't go there often, so I'll send you someone who knows the rules. Lin Yun, you'll be assisting Nan Yong in unifying the Heaven Wasteland Army. You'll be the deputy commander. Nan Yong, go back and announce it. Night Sorrow instructed Nan Yong. Don't worry, Commander. Nan Yong will take care of it. Nan Yong nodded. Song Jingang, you'll lead Duan Qianshui and manage the Heaven Wasteland Army under your command. Shi Cheng, you'll lead Long Hao. Lin Chuan, you'll stay in the First Army. Night Sorrow instructed. The few of them accepted the order and knew where they belonged. Newcomers have just arrived. The first thing they have to do is familiarize themselves with the rules of the Heaven Wasteland Army. The three of you, if you don't behave, be careful of the consequences. Night Sorrow glanced at Lin Chuan and the other two. Commander, the rules of the Heaven Wasteland Army are to challenge. It's a bit messy now that they're here. Shicheng rubbed his nose and said. He believed that he was pretty good among the Emperor Realm cultivators, but he was still a distance away from the top few on the Emperor Realm Heaven ranking. If they want to challenge you, I'll beat them up so badly that no one can recognize them. Alright, go back to your camps and train. You guys should train as well. You have to be extremely proficient in the joint attack formation, Night Sorrow said. The commanders have left. Lin Chuan, I'll talk about your arrangements. I've just thought about it. It's more suitable for you to stay in the God-slaying squad. The God-slaying squad's strength is lower, but the pace of cultivation is faster. You'll be able to get used to the situation here faster, Night Sorrow said to Lin Chuan. I'll listen to the commander's arrangements. Lin Chuan nodded. Long Jin, bring Lin Chuan to the God-slaying squad's encampment and settle down, Night Sorrow instructed. Long Jin led Lin Chuan away, leaving only Night Sorrow and the Golden Dragon King in the tent. They've quieted down so quickly. That's a good arrangement. Next, Samsara Island's members will have to be strong even if they don't want to. Those bastards are pretty strong now. The main thing is that they have a lot of room for growth, the Golden Dragon King said. I don't know how long the world will remain stable. Our Samsara Island has a lot of room for development, especially the God-slaying team. What they lack now is time, Night Sorrow said. Normally speaking, there's still some time, because they're still a bit weaker than us when it comes to fighting a decisive battle. Of course, there are still some unexpected situations. The God-slaying team had more potential than any other unified Heaven Wasteland army. They were too young and lacked time to cultivate. Also, now that there are so many people, we don't seem to have enough space acceleration treasures. How about this? I'll research and set up a time acceleration array. That way, it'll be more convenient for everyone, said the Golden Dragon King. Then I'll have to trouble you, Golden Dragon King. Night Sorrow cupped his hands at the Golden Dragon King. After settling down, the Golden Dragon King set up the time acceleration array every day. Night Sorrow walked around the various divisions' campsites every day, mainly to see how the newcomers Lin Chuan, Long Hao, and Duan Qianshui were integrating. After seeing them, Night Sorrow was satisfied. This was because they were very diligent in their cultivation of the joint attack array. Commander, if I cultivate like this, will I be able to defeat Huang Jie the next time I see her? After Night Sorrow arrived at the God-slaying team's campsite, Lin Chuan, who was cultivating the joint attack array, shouted at Night Sorrow. You definitely can't not cultivate. If you cultivate properly and become like the others, I'll help you think of a way, Night Sorrow said. All right, I believe you. Lin Chuan nodded. Everyone cultivated diligently. Night Sorrow's clone had nothing to do, so he began to study the alchemy manual. His array formation cultivation had reached a certain level, so he planned to improve his alchemy skills. Low-level elixirs were useless. If Night Sorrow wanted to refine high-level elixirs, he had to improve his alchemy skills. If he lacked materials, Night Sorrow would send Tianyu or Long Jin to the Heaven Wasteland City and the Divine Capital City to search for them. Their true bodies were cultivating, so it was fine for their clones to run around. On the other hand, Night Sorrow discovered a benefit. When Tianyu and Long Jin were looking for materials that they could not purchase, they would gather the descendants of the various divine beasts and tell them what they needed. Of course, they would not ask for it for free. They would exchange it for something of equal value. 2 months later, Night Sorrow refined a cauldron of Tier 9 elixirs, the Dvarch Spirit Elixir. The Dvarch Spirit Elixir was an elixir that increased one's perception. Its main ingredient was the Tao spiritual grass that grew in the cracks of space. It could allow the user to comprehend the will of heaven and earth faster, and increase the cultivation level of the will of heaven and earth faster. It was the most effective elixir for king and the sovereign to enter the heaven monarch realm. Night Sorrow gave some to the members of the god-slaying team who had not entered the heaven monarch realm. Following that, Night Sorrow began to study another elixir called the Dvarch Tribulation Elixir. The effect of the Dvarch Tribulation Elixir was to increase the chances of a heaven monarch realm cultivator entering the Dvarch realm. The main ingredient of this elixir was very precious. It was the inner core of an extremely rare heaven giant beast. None of the major factions had this ingredient, because the heaven giant beast was so rare that it was almost impossible to find one. Even the various divine beast races that had been passed down for several reincarnations did not have any in stock. Just as Night Sorrow was a little worried, Wu Lingfei arrived at the Reincarnation Island and the god-slaying team's encampment. When she saw Night Sorrow was still trying to find a substitute for the inner core of a heaven giant beast. Seeing that Night Sorrow was worried, Wu Lingfei asked about it. It's nothing. I'm just lacking an ingredient for refining elixirs. Night Sorrow put down what he was doing and brewed a pot of tea. That's not a problem. Take your time. Wu Lingfei smiled and sat down. I can't take my time. The members of the god-slaying team are all quite talented. However, entering the Dvarch realm is a bottleneck. If I get stuck, it will take a lot of time. Therefore, I have to refine some elixirs, Night Sorrow said. What do you need? Let me see if I can help you find it. The Ice Phoenix race's foundation is not bad, Wu Lingfei said. Night Sorrow was not polite with Wu Lingfei. He immediately told her what he needed. Oh, 7-11-inch, then I'll go back to the race and ask. I'll come back later. Wu Lingfei was naturally willing to help Night Sorrow. Aunt Fei, our reincarnation island will not take the ingredients for free. If the Ice Phoenix race has it, we can give you a condition. As long as the condition is not harsh, we can accept it, Night Sorrow said. Wu Lingfei didn't say any more courteous words. She understood Yishang. She knew that Yishang didn't want to owe others favors. He didn't care if he owed her, but he definitely didn't want to owe the Ice Phoenix clan anything. Half a month later, Wu Lingfei came with the inner core of a heaven giant beast. However, the Ice Phoenix race also had a condition. They wanted 1/3 of the elixirs refined from the inner core. If they could, Night Sorrow could use the inner core. If not, the deal would be a failure. Chapter 2051. Lord Golden Dragon King, please don't be angry. This wasn't my parents' idea. My parents have some conflicts with the elders. I got the Heaven Beast's core from the Ice Phoenix race's 10,000 treasure pavilion. This is the price the elders proposed. I don't want to talk to them about anything else, Wu Lingfei said. Okay, I'll give 1/3 to the Ice Phoenix race. Night Sorrow nodded. Although the price was a little high, Night Sorrow could accept it. The Heaven Beast's core was relatively large and could be refined into many pills. After nearly half a month, Night Sorrow refined the Monarch Trial pill. He refined a total of 5 furnaces, with more than 20 pills per furnace. In total, he refined 120 pills. Night Sorrow gave Wu Lingfei 40 pills. Night Sorrow, I'm sorry. It's a little too much to ask for just the materials, Wu Lingfei said. It's nothing. Fortunately, Auntie Fei helped me obtain the Heaven Colossal Beast's inner core. Otherwise, it's hard to say whether or not this Emperor Tribulation pill could be refined. Auntie Fei, please take the pill back, said Yishang. Okay. My parents have a conflict with the elders mainly because they want to fight for some benefits for me. I'm afraid that it will alarm the Ice Phoenix race's Grand Elder. I'll return the pills to avoid rumors. I'll come back later, Wu Lingfei said after taking the pills. After sending Wu Lingfei off, Night Sorrow distributed the pills to the members of the God-slaying squad. He gave out almost half of them. I've paved the way for you. Whether you can enter the Emperor realm or not is up to you. I'll be grounded for 30 years. I'll give you 50 years. If you can't enter the Emperor realm in 50 years, you'll join the God-slaying squad and return to the Primal Chaos realm to maintain its stability. Although I don't want to make some decisions, I don't want to see you lose your lives on the battlefield in the future, Night Sorrow said, then turned and left. Oh, W forever in less than a long time a free W read T novel. Brothers and sisters, don't blame the captain. He's doing this for everyone's sake. He wants everyone to live, Longjin said. We understand. Captain once said that when he returns in the future, he hopes that all of us will still be around. Xueling, who was still a monarch, said. After leaving the God-slaying team's encampment, Night Sorrow gave more than half of the remaining Emperor Spirit pills and Emperor Tribulation pills to Datura, who had come to visit her. Take these back to the 9-domain world. Keep half of them in the Yi clan, and give the other half to those with potential. The Ice Phoenix clan is too greedy. They don't have enough pills to begin with, Datura said after putting away the pills. Hehe, resources aren't enough for anyone, so don't be dissatisfied with the Ice Phoenix race. Even if we don't give face to others, we still have to give face to Aunt Fei, Night Sorrow said with a smile. At this time, in the Ice Phoenix clan's main hall, concubine Wu Lingfei sat in the main seat. Her parents sat on the left side, and on the right side sat an old man. The elders of the Ice Phoenix clan sat in rows on both sides. Your Elder Council's request was that one Heaven Giant Beast's inner core cost 40 Emperor Tribulation pills. Now that I've taken back the 40 Emperor Tribulation pills, I ask the Elder Council to remember one thing. In the future, if you need someone to do something for you, do it yourself. I, Wu Lingfei, am not that shameless. After Wu Lingfei finished speaking, she threw the pills into the hands of the elders of the 10,000 Treasures Pavilion. Empress Fei, don't be angry. Today we were originally going to discuss some clan rules. What's the matter with the pills? A white-haired woman sitting to Wu Lingfei's right asked. Elder, a friend of the human race wants to use the Heaven Giant Beast's inner core to refine pills. I came back to help find the materials. The Elder Council requested that one of the materials costs 1/3 of the finished pills. You have to know that in the past, the Golden Dragon clan, Green Dragons, White Tiger clan, and Blood Qilin clan all provided the materials unconditionally. Furthermore, he didn't take advantage of anyone. Wu Lingfei's words were emotionless. She was very angry. So many Divine Beast clans are willing to help. Who is he? The white-haired woman asked. She was the only remaining elder of the Ice Phoenix clan. Granduncle, this person isn't simple. He's already at the peak of the Emperor realm in less than 1,000 years of life. Furthermore, he's the number 1 of the Celestial Realm's 100 clan hero gathering. He's the virtuous emperor, the crownless human emperor. Men passed the information about Night Sorrow to the Elder Council, Huangling said. Following Huangling's words, the intelligence personnel of the Ice Phoenix clan passed the information about Night Sorrow to the white-haired woman, Huang Yueqing. After reading the information about Night Sorrow, Huang Yueqing shook her head and looked at the elder of the Million Treasure Pavilion who was holding the elixir. Give half of the elixir to Empress Fei and return it to her. The elder of the Million Treasure Pavilion divided another portion of the elixir and returned the elixir bottle to Wu Lingfei with both hands. It's useless even if you take it back. I'll remember this. Wu Lingfei's face was still filled with anger. Imperial concubine, please calm down. Since I'm here, there are some things that I have to talk about. Our race has been passed down for countless years, and the rules were set by the previous Golden Phoenix. It's normal for the new Golden Phoenix to change them. Also, all of you better remember this. The Elder Guild is in charge of managing the affairs of the Ice Phoenix race. However, you don't have the right to be above the Imperial concubine. In the future, you will follow Imperial concubine's orders. Seeing Huang Yueqing leave, everyone in the hall stood up and sent her off. The Golden Phoenix has been born. The Ice Phoenix clan will prosper. Huang Yueqing's figure left, but her voice was still transmitted into the hall. Since you're capable, you can do it. Wu Lingfei flicked her skirt and left the hall. Heavenly Astral King, Grand Elder Ling, how do you think we should deal with this? Huang Qin looked at Heavenly Astral King and Huang Ling and asked. Huang Ling had stepped down from her position as the Ice Phoenix clan's empress, and was now a Grand Elder. It's now the 8th and 9th era of this reincarnation cycle. It's a great era. The 9th era is also a period of competition. At this time, the 100 Clan Alliance must be united. In addition, I won't avoid suspicion. The birth of the Golden Phoenix is a period of time for the Ice Phoenix clan. We must follow the Golden Phoenix's orders. If you're not willing, your Elder Council will do what you want and our family will do what we want. Huang Ling stood up and said. Don't worry, Grand Elder. We'll follow the ancestors' orders. Huang Qin and Huang Yu stood up. Wu Lingfei took half of the Emperor Tribulation pills to Reincarnation Island. Aunt Fei, you're here so soon? Don't tell me you're in a hurry to leave? Night Sorrow was surprised to see Wu Lingfei. They won't understand, so Aunt Fei will cultivate on Reincarnation Island in the future, Wu Lingfei said. Haha, that's great. I'll be grounded for 30 years. Aunt Fei can stay for as long as she wants. Night Sorrow was very happy. Chapter 2052. Jun Xuanji breaking through to the Emperor realm is a big deal. Does my martial uncle know about this? Night Sorrow asked Zhu Jiyun. He doesn't know. Uncle Shuriwe went to see Lord King Yawu, but he didn't see him. So he asked me to ask you and see what you have to say, Zhu Jiyun said. Night Sorrow, if it was somewhere else, I could keep an eye on it. But this is the Reincarnation Island. There are many unstable factors. With Lord Yawu in seclusion, the Tianhuang city will be more stable. If there are any problems, the Tianhuang city will be fine, the Golden Dragon King said. If it was something else, the Golden Dragon King would take care of it. But this involved the 3 great heavens of the Demon Wing clan. He had to be careful. If Mo Yutian and Mo Zhantian came, he wouldn't be able to handle it. I understand. Aluo, go to the Tianhuang city and find Sister Xian Er. Then ask to see the Grand Elder. Tell him that I want to see the Grand Elder and tell him about this. Night Sorrow said to Datura. Datura nodded and left. She was here to accompany Night Sorrow and help Night Sorrow pass on some words. After Datura left, Night Sorrow didn't feel at ease. This was a big deal. If it wasn't handled well, it could affect the war. Just as Night Sorrow was thinking, the Grand Elder appeared. Night Sorrow stood up and quickly asked the Grand Elder to sit down. My original body has gone to the Divine Capital to bring Jun Xuanji to the Tianhuang city. No one can do anything to the Tianhuang city. Also, I want to tell you that if the seal works, then there won't be a problem. If Mo Tianji's memory takes over after the tribulation and the imprint appears, then you have to understand, the Grand Elder said. I understand. All we can do is try our best. If it doesn't work, then there's nothing we can do. Night Sorrow nodded. The reincarnation of Mo Tianji's soul was a huge threat. If it had happened to someone else, they would have been killed immediately. Since he couldn't go, he could only wait for news. Night Sorrow had no other choice. As a friend, he really didn't want anything to happen to Jun Xuanji. Just as Night Sorrow was feeling uneasy, Jun Xuanji, accompanied by the Grand Elder and Lin Piaomiao, arrived at Reincarnation Island. Night Sorrow, I wanted to see you before my tribulation. I told the Grand Elder that if anything happened to me, he could kill me. I don't have any regrets in this life. I just can't bear to part with you and our friendship, said Jun Xuanji. You'll be fine, Grand Elder. If anything happens, lock her up. I'll find a way to solve it, Night Sorrow said. After talking with Night Sorrow for a while, Jun Xuanji and the Grand Elder left. Seeing the Grand Elder and Jun Xuanji leave, Night Sorrow returned to his tent. He wrote a letter and handed it to Lin Piaomiao. The letter was for the city lord. He asked the city lord to lock up Jun Xuanji for a while and observe him. After Lin Piaomiao took the letter away, Night Sorrow found something for himself to do. He continued to study the alchemy books that the spiritual tree sect elder gave him to improve his alchemy skills. While Night Sorrow was busy, Jun Xuanji began to go through the trials of wind and fire in a formation in the city. Outside the formation, the city lord showed Night Sorrow's letter to the Grand Elder. Even if he doesn't have the mark, we still have to lock him up? The Grand Elder asked the city lord. Yes. Yi Shang wrote this letter for 2 reasons. The first is that even if Jun Xuanji is in trouble, even if Mo Tianji's memory has the upper hand, he doesn't want us to kill him. He wants us to imprison him. The second reason is that even if Jun Xuanji is fine, he's still worried and wants to imprison him, said the city lord. Night Sorrow felt uneasy. Even if Pu Luo's real body was in the city and his doppelganger was by Night Sorrow's side, it would still be the same. Unspecified currency forever free CB 1 small % say 8 outside of the formation of the heavenly desolate city. The mayor and the elder had been observing the situation inside the formation. I placed a seal outside of her soul so that it won't affect her soul power. However, some of the senses won't be transmitted out, and the external senses won't affect her soul either. The main problem now is that when she enters the Imperial Realm and Mo Tianji's memories are awakened, whose memories will have the upper hand, said the city lord. Mo Tianji has lived for 8 eras and her memories are very complicated. Jun Xuanji's time is too short, and his memories are very short. It's very easy for him to be influenced and corroded. Of course, it also depends on her own willpower. The Great Elder explained his analysis. Of course, the city lord was aware of this. These are all predictions. What we can control is that she can't do anything to change the situation or harm the celestial realm. The city lord nodded. Time passed bit by bit. In the formation, Jun Xuanji's destructive wind and soul-burning flame disappeared, which meant that she successfully entered the Emperor realm. At this moment, Jun Xuanji's face was filled with pain. His expression was even a bit ferocious. He kept switching between gritting his teeth and sneering. The city lord and the Grand Elder knew that this was the clash between Mo Tianji and Jun Xuanji's memories. At this moment, no one could help Jun Xuanji. The city lord and the Grand Elder were observing Jun Xuanji's aura. Once Mo Tianji's memories took over, Jun Xuanji's soul aura would change. This was inevitable and could not be faked. This clash of souls continued. Jun Xuanji knew very well that she had to maintain her sense of self. Once she lost her sense of self, she would become Mo Tianji's subordinate. Jun Xuanji operated his soul to resist the erosion of Mo Tianji's memories and soul. He was holding on. The city lord and the Grand Elder were watching. Although they were not afraid, they did not want Jun Xuanji to lose his sense of self. Time passed bit by bit, and this clash of souls continued. Pu Luo, who was standing beside the city lord, reported to Night Sorrow because Night Sorrow was also very worried. After hearing what Pu Luo's clone said, Night Sorrow anxiously paced back and forth. Don't worry. This situation means that Jun Xuanji's soul has not fallen. I think this situation is very good for Jun Xuanji. His soul memory has a point of support. It is supported by his body. The impact of Mo Tianji's memories will weaken as time passes. In the end, it will not be able to erode Jun Xuanji's soul at all, Pu Luo said. Yi Shang nodded. He knew that Pu Luo's words made sense. Normally, no one would resist the awakening of a soul because it was their own memory. However, Jun Xuanji was prepared from the beginning and resisted it from the beginning. Therefore, it was different from the awakening of some ordinary memories. Everyone who cared about Jun Xuanji was waiting. They were waiting for the result of this struggle, the result of this struggle against fate. Chapter 2053. Then should I bring Zhu Juyin to Reincarnation Island? Pu Luo asked. Sure. Bring her here after Jun Xuanji's matter is settled. Sigh. Mo Tianji alone is enough to turn my place upside down. Night Sorrow felt a little helpless because these matters made him feel powerless. In fact, Mo Tianji not being able to take advantage of you is already her failure. You should know what level of cultivator she is. I overheard the conversation between the city master of Tianhuang City and the great elder. Mo Tianji should be at the 8 Emperor Tribulation. She hasn't passed the 8 Emperor Tribulation yet because her aura and Heaven's mystery were covered by the human Emperor's seal when she was fighting with your master. In fact, at her peak, she was at the same level as the city master of Tianhuang City, King Yawu, and the great elder, said Pu Luo. She is indeed difficult to deal with. I have to admit that. Night Sorrow nodded. Night Sorrow took out a jar of wine and drank while pacing back and forth in the camp. He couldn't calm down at all, let alone study alchemy. 6 days passed in the blink of an eye. Pu Luo told Night Sorrow a piece of good news. Jun Xuanji had stabilized and wasn't controlled by Mo Tianji's memories yet. The aura is still Jun Xuanji's soul aura, but the aura has changed. It has become more domineering. In other words, the aura has become more aggressive, Pu Luo said to Night Sorrow. Although he hasn't been corrupted by Mo Tianji's memories, he must have absorbed some of them. This is really a problem. Night Sorrow exhaled and said. Night Sorrow knew that dealing with Jun Xuanji would affect Jun Xuanji's state of mind. Normally, it would be best to keep Jun Xuanji by his side and communicate with him more. However, because he was grounded for 30 years, he couldn't leave Reincarnation Island. He couldn't deal with this matter in the best way. While Night Sorrow was thinking, the Grand Elder appeared in the camp of Broken Sky Mountain. Night Sorrow, the city lord and I have thought about it. If we really do as you said and seal Jun Xuanji, she will definitely think that we have abandoned her. In that case, it would be better to just erase her. If we want to save her, we have to take care of her emotions. The Grand Elder said. Grand Elder, I'm sorry. Because of me, this simple matter has become complicated. Night Sorrow bowed to the Grand Elder. You're kind-hearted, and you don't do things that go against your conscience. This is your merit. Jun Xuanji's soul. And Jun Xuanji's soul. And find Jun Xuanji's soul. Jun Xuanji can't sense. And kill her. The Grand Elder said. Grand Elder, what do you think is suitable for her? Night Sorrow asked. My clone will bring her here later. She will be by your side. You are the virtuous human sovereign. You will have a great influence on her. You can use your relationship with her to stabilize her emotions. As for whether or not there will be experts from the demonic Wing clan attacking, that shouldn't be the case. Her soul is sealed. Mo Tianji won't be able to sense her. The same goes for the other members of the demonic Wing clan, the Grand Elder said. After the Grand Elder left, Night Sorrow returned to the tent to think. He had to be careful because this matter was quite troublesome. Don't worry. It's not a big deal. We'll just keep an eye on her. The Golden Dragon King said. Lord Golden Dragon King, Jun Xuanji will be here later. After I talk to him, please pay attention to one thing for me. If he shows any signs of leaving without saying goodbye, then kill him on the spot. Night Sorrow closed his eyes after saying this. Even if he was unwilling, he had to make some arrangements. He couldn't gamble with the fate of the 100 races in the celestial realm, just because of his relationship with Jun Xuanji. Looking at Night Sorrow, the Golden Dragon King nodded. In fact, he had already talked to the Grand Elder, and made some arrangements. But now that Night Sorrow had made such a decision, he was very pleased. A day later, the Grand Elder brought Jun Xuanji to the stronghold of Broken Mountain. Seeing Jun Xuanji, Night Sorrow realized that Jun Xuanji had changed. His aura was much sharper. It wasn't just because his cultivation had increased, but also because his temperament had changed. Night Sorrow, I'm back. Jun Xuanji looked at Night Sorrow and said, Xuanji, are you still you? Night Sorrow asked. I am. Jun Xuanji nodded. We're friends. I don't want to be deceived. If you're no longer you, then you can leave now. I, Night Sorrow, guarantee that no one will stop you. No matter what happens in the future, even if you're Mo Tianji, please don't blaspheme the friendship between me and Jun Xuanji. Night Sorrow said. Jun Xuanji shook his head and looked at Yishang with a soft gaze. I thank you for everything you've done for me. If it weren't for your persistence, I might have been killed already. I would never lie to you. I would never let you down. I would never let you down. Okay, let's go and drink. Night Sorrow put his arm around Jun Xuanji's shoulder and entered the tent. The Golden Dragon King and the Grand Elder looked at each other. They felt a lot more at ease because they could confirm that Jun Xuanji's words came from the bottom of his heart. They were also gratified because they had made the right move. K, a forever free, read * novels. The Grand Elder and the Golden Dragon King arrived at the Golden Dragon King's tent. If Jun Xuanji's soul has been corroded, then with Night Sorrow's promise we can't do anything. With Mo Tianji's cunning, she should have left. If she didn't leave, then it means that she has withstood the impact of Mo Tianji's memories, the Grand Elder said. In the exchange just now, Night Sorrow was a little impulsive, but there's nothing wrong with that. If she leaves, we'll just have one more opponent. It's better than having one more potential threat. This is a very smart way to deal with it, the Golden Dragon King said. In Night Sorrow's tent, Night Sorrow and Jun Xuanji were drinking. Night Sorrow, you've become haggard. You don't have to worry about me. I've profited this time. I've obtained 8 eras of Mo Tianji's cultivation experience and insights. But emotionally, I'm still Jun Xuanji. Haggard? I don't know, but I'm very worried. It can't even be described as worried. I'm a little scared. I'm not afraid of having one more opponent. No matter how many opponents and enemies there are, I, Night Sorrow, will be able to hold on and fight. I'm just afraid of losing you as a friend, Night Sorrow said. Chapter 2054. Night Sorrow hesitated for a moment before saying, We've known each other for a long time. You know what kind of person I am. I don't treat relationships as child's play. I have 5 wives now, but I've never thought of this. I don't want my relationships to become impure. As for pushing you to Qinglin, I really didn't. I just want you to live a good life. Jun Xuanji said. I can understand you. I know the situation between you and your wives. The first one you liked was Chuyu. You have some feelings for the 2 senior sisters, mainly because of your master. Xueshi was there because of some unexpected reasons. Datira and Lin Piamiao were fought over by them. Actually, what I want is for the people around me to be happy. Night Sorrow spoke his mind. That's what you've been doing all this time. You've done very well. Anyone by your side will feel at ease. Actually, when I found out that I was Mo Tianji's reincarnation, I wanted to talk to you about marriage because marriage can solve many problems. It can directly destroy all the connections in fate. The only person I'm willing to marry is you, Jun Xuanji said softly. I'm sorry. Night Sorrow shook his head. You don't need to say those words to anyone. You didn't need to in the past, and you won't need to in the future. Mo Tianji still has her memories. If one day my will wavers and I want to be the awe-inspiring Mo Tianji, I will ask you to get married, Jun Xuanji said. Looking at Jun Xuanji, Night Sorrow didn't know how to reply. He opened his mouth, wanting to say something, but he felt that it wouldn't be appropriate. All right, looking at you like this, I'm angry. Could it be that you don't care about me? I'm angry. If you want to cultivate, I want this place. Jun Xuanji glared at Night Sorrow and chased him away. Night Sorrow smiled awkwardly and left the tent. After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow went to Datira's tent. Night Sorrow naturally wouldn't tell anyone about his conversation with Jun Xuanji. It was Jun Xuanji's secret. Night Sorrow, I heard your conversation, Datira said to Night Sorrow. Wait a moment. Let me organize my thoughts before I tell you about this. Yishang looked at Mandela. He didn't know how to explain because he couldn't. Haha. Why are you so nervous? Do you think we don't know who you are? Datira said with a smile. Night Sorrow nodded. He was most gratified that his wives were very reasonable. No matter what happened, they would not make trouble with him. They were very understanding. Mo Tianji received the news of the meeting of heroes in a small city within the Misty Dynasty. Night Sorrow, you've risen so quickly. You've ruined my plans time and time again. One day, I'll make you beg for death. Mo Tianji was angry when she thought of Night Sorrow. However, Mo Tianji knew that Night Sorrow was very difficult to deal with. Night Sorrow's strength had risen too quickly. It would be difficult for her to catch up with Night Sorrow. Her only advantage was that she had no bottlenecks before reaching the tribulation of the 7 emperors. Looking at her body, Mo Tianji felt fortunate. This was because Zhu Juyun's doppelganger was very talented. It had good compatibility with various attributes and did not reject the attributes that she had mastered. A cultivator's attributes were determined by their soul and body. Mo Tianji's soul possessed several attributes. If the body did not reject it, then there would be no problem in cultivating and comprehending the attributes. Also, after knowing that Night Sorrow's Heaven Wasteland army belonged to the Reincarnation Island, Mo Tianji knew that the Reincarnation Island had been occupied by the Celestial Realm's 100 races. It would be impossible for the Heaven Wasteland Demon Winged race to use the Reincarnation Island to attack the Celestial Realm. Now that she was trapped in the Celestial Realm, she could only develop on her own. Taking a deep breath, Mo Tianji left and returned to the small courtyard that she had bought. She entered the spatial treasure and began cultivating. With 8 eras and close to 9 eras of lifespan, Mo Tianji knew that strength was the greatest reliance and the ability to solve problems. After Jun Xuanji's matter came to an end, Night Sorrow began to consider undergoing the tribulation. Half a year ago, his destruction attribute had reached the level of the Emperor Tribulation. Later, after half a year of time acceleration in the real world, Night Sorrow's spacetime attribute had also reached the level of the Emperor Tribulation. Even his void attribute had caught up. However, his limitless attribute's improvement was extremely slow. Knowing that the highest level of any attribute was his own cultivation level, Night Sorrow planned to undergo the tribulation of all the attributes that could undergo the Emperor Tribulation. He would cultivate all of them at the same time, and not leave any of them behind. In order not to worry others, Night Sorrow did not tell anyone about the Emperor Tribulation. In the center of the void whirlpool, he asked Little Purple to protect him, and began to undergo the tribulation. As the destruction attribute's momentum of heaven and earth was released, the Heavenly Law's 9 Emperor Tribulations Thunder Tribulation was produced. It was the Destruction Thunder Tribulation. Night Sorrow had endured the Thunder Tribulation many times in the past. His destruction attribute came from the Thunder Tribulation. The Destruction Thunder Tribulation's wild explosions did not threaten Night Sorrow. Forever Fei CA/W Speak 7 with the virtuous immortal body. The Destruction Thunder Tribulation could not even harm Night Sorrow. Instead, it became the nourishment for Night Sorrow's destruction attribute cultivation. Feeling that he did not consume any energy, Night Sorrow immediately activated the spacetime attribute Emperor Tribulation and rushed through the void attribute Emperor Tribulation. After passing one of the 9 heavenly Tao Emperor Tribulations, Night Sorrow felt that the space containing energy in his body had increased by a lot. After all, he had advanced by a small level. After successfully passing the Emperor Tribulation, Night Sorrow's main body began to cultivate again. After passing the Heavenly Tao Emperor Tribulation's attribute, it was relatively easier for him to comprehend the power of heaven and earth. When the Golden Dragon King and the Grand Elder saw Night Sorrow, both of them were very surprised. They had not seen each other for a few days and Night Sorrow had already passed the first Emperor Tribulation. "Oh, you rascal! Why didn't you say anything? This is considered a joyous occasion," the Grand Elder said with a smile. "It's just passing one tribulation. It's nothing. There's still a long way to go in the future," Night Sorrow said. "So low-key, but in reality low-key is the most shameless way to show off," the Golden Dragon King muttered. Night Sorrow laughed. The Golden Dragon King chatted like this because he did not treat him as an outsider. "Haha, you have the right to show off. After passing the Emperor Tribulation, Night Sorrow, you can study the sword Tao that your master left behind. That is the best sword Tao in the Celestial Realm. Many cultivators dream of it, but you suppressed it and did not study it for hundreds of years. Of course, you slept for hundreds of years. The Grand Elder said. Yes. I have let my master down. However, this is something that cannot be helped. If my master was still alive, he might not have taken me in as a disciple. After all, I don't cultivate the sword Tao. Night Sorrow said. Chapter 2055. Once my cultivation stabilizes, I will go and research it. Night Sorrow was also very interested in Yan Wushuang's sword Tao. However, he had just advanced and needed to stabilize his cultivation realm first. And take your time. The Grand Elder nodded. Night Sorrow's rapid improvement had already exceeded his expectations. Night Sorrow's aura had changed. Some members of the God-slaying team had already sensed it. Although Night Sorrow had an impenetrable body, he had just advanced and his aura would still be imperceptibly revealed. Grand Commander, have you passed the Heavenly Tao Emperor's calamity? Lin Chuan looked at Night Sorrow in astonishment. What do you think of our first commander and the God-slaying team? Night Sorrow looked at Lin Chuan and asked. He had high hopes for Lin Chuan. Lin Chuan's personality was more reserved, but he was ambitious and had the greatest potential in the heaven ranking. Of course, other than himself. Very good. I have traveled the celestial realm, and have seen many training teams. However, none of them could compare with the first commander and the God-slaying team, especially the God-slaying team. Lin Chuan said. Seems like you admire the first commander and the God-slaying team. Then you are the same as everyone else. Alright, come find me later. I promise to help you break the extreme frost world. I will help you think of a solution. Night Sorrow agreed to help Lin Chuan break the extreme frost world. Lin Chuan nodded. He knew that it was very difficult to beat Night Sorrow even though he was a peak emperor, and close to the Heavenly Tao Emperor's calamity. This was because his understanding and comprehension of battle was much weaker than Night Sorrow's. In layman's terms, his foundation were not as good as Night Sorrow's. Night Sorrow went to the other camps to check on Long Hao and Duan Qianshui. Seeing that everyone was doing well and had integrated into the team, Yishuang was at ease. Following this, Yishuang went to the Demon Mountain stronghold. Lin Yun's main body was in closed-door cultivation, while her clone and Nan Yong were guarding the stronghold. After walking around and seeing that everything was normal, Night Sorrow returned to his tent on Broken Mountain. While Night Sorrow was making tea with Wu Lingfei, Lin Chuan arrived. Sit. Night Sorrow pointed at the seat opposite him. Grand Commander, I'm here to break through the Arctic world, Lin Chuan said after sitting down. Then I'll explain some things first. I have a very deep relationship with the Ice Phoenix race, so it's actually not appropriate for me to guide others to break through the world of extreme cold. However, since I've promised you, I'll help you do it. However, you have to promise me something, Night Sorrow said. I understand what you're trying to say. If I obtain a way to break through the realm of extreme frost from you, I'll only break through Huangjie's realm of extreme frost. I won't harm the Ice Phoenix clansmen, Lin Chuan said. Aunt Fei, what do you think? Night Sorrow looked at Wu Lingfei and asked. There's no problem with Lin Chuan's promise. The Ice Phoenix race's realm of extreme frost is extremely difficult to comprehend. However, everyone's comprehension is different. Huangjie has only scratched the surface, Wu Lingfei said. Scratched the surface? Lin Chuan looked at Wu Lingfei in surprise. Yes. Although her talent is not bad, her bloodline limits her development. The realm of extreme frost she has comprehended is only ice. The true realm of extreme frost is not only ice, but also cutting, splitting, shaking, penetrating, and other effects, Wu Lingfei said. Grand Commander, this is? Lin Chuan looked at Wu Lingfei. He'd seen her a few times before, but he wasn't familiar with her. This is Aunt Fei, Empress Fei of the Ice Phoenix race. She's also the second Golden Phoenix in the history of the Ice Phoenix race, Night Sorrow introduced. After hearing Night Sorrow's introduction, Lin Chuan stood up and cupped his hands at Wu Lingfei. I'm very sorry. I only asked for a way to break through the realm of extreme frost to defeat Huangjie. I have no other intentions, nor do I have any intention of targeting the Ice Phoenix race. I won't teach it to anyone else. Lin Chuan's cultivation was higher than Wu Lingfei's, but their statuses were different. Wu Lingfei was the patriarch of the divine beast race. It's nothing. Take a seat. Wu Lingfei shook her head. Then I'll tell you what you're lacking in my eyes. I'll tell you where the Western white tiger kill needs to be improved. If the power of the technique increases, it won't only be effective against the realm of extreme frost, but it will also be a greater threat to other domains, Night Sorrow said. Lin Chuan didn't reply. He just listened quietly. I don't know how you cultivated it in the past. The current flaw is that the technique isn't perfect. When you use the Western white tiger kill, it's just a collision and cutting. However, the opponent's domain energy is flexible and has a high defense, so it becomes a collision of energy. It lacks technique. To put it simply, it's overbearing but not delicate enough, Night Sorrow said to Lin Chuan. I don't quite understand what Grand Commander means. Isn't being delicate a part of my personality? Lin Chuan asked. No. Look at this. Night Sorrow raised a finger. Then energy exploded from his finger. Shock force, wave force, penetration force, and even the folding force that he dabbled in later were all displayed. Lin Chuan looked at it and fell into deep thought. Your Western white tiger kill is very strong, but it's only a collision. It lacks the ability to break the opponent's domain. Do you understand now? Night Sorrow reminded Lin Chuan again. Lin Chuan thanks Grand Commander. Lin Chuan stood up and bowed to Night Sorrow. You don't have to be so polite. Since you've come to the first territory and acknowledged the first territory, then we'll be brothers who will fight side by side in the future, Night Sorrow said. Don't worry, Your Majesty. Lin Chuan will remember his promise. Lin Chuan promised. Lin Chuan promised again. He didn't want Wu Lingfei to have other thoughts because of this and make everyone unhappy. Lin Chuan, think about it yourself. I can only give you an idea. As for how far you can go, it's up to you. Actually, I don't quite understand. You've cultivated very well and profound techniques, but you haven't touched on the easier ones. It's not just you. I've noticed that many cultivators are the same, Night Sorrow said. Cool Craftsman X Net 5 Forever 3 Long Z Exempt. B Watch, Q Little CC said. Night Sorrow, this is because you don't understand the divine beasts. Divine beasts born in the ancestral land will grow faster in their ancestral land. Because their growth speed is too fast, they'll neglect the transition period in the early stages. In a short time, they'll enter the Saint tier and Monarch tier, and begin to come in contact with the laws of nature and the will of heaven and earth. That's why they haven't touched on certain things, Wu Lingfei explained to Night Sorrow. After Lin Chuan left, Night Sorrow and Wu Lingfei drank tea. Auntie Fei, I didn't mean to break through the extreme cold world. You're worried about hurting me? You're overthinking it. I've also cultivated the extreme cold world. It's completely different from Huangjia. Unless your cultivation is much higher than mine, you won't be able to break through it, Wu Lingfei said with a smile. Hearing Wu Lingfei's words, Night Sorrow was relieved. This way he could stabilize his cultivation. Chapter 2056. Wait until my cultivation stabilizes, then I will study it. Night Sorrow was also very interested in Yan Wushuang's sword Dao. However, he had just advanced and needed to stabilize his cultivation realm first. And take your time. The Grand Elder nodded. Night Sorrow's rapid improvement had already exceeded his expectations. Night Sorrow's aura had changed. Some members of the God-slaying team had already sensed it. Although Night Sorrow had an impenetrable body, he had just advanced and his aura would still be imperceptibly revealed. Grand Commander, did you pass the Heavenly Tao Emperor Calamity? Lin Chuan looked at Night Sorrow in astonishment. And what do you think of our first commander and the God-slaying team? Night Sorrow looked at Lin Chuan and asked. He thought highly of Lin Chuan. Lin Chuan's personality was more introverted, but he was ambitious and had the greatest potential in the heaven ranking. Of course, other than himself. Very good. I have traveled the celestial realm and have seen many training teams. However, none of them could compare with the first commander and the God-slaying team, especially the God-slaying team. Lin Chuan said. Seems like you admire the first commander and the God-slaying team. Then you are the same as everyone else. Alright, come find me later. I promise to help you break the extreme frost world. I will help you think of a solution. Night Sorrow agreed to help Lin Chuan break the extreme frost world. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. Lin Chuan nodded. He knew that it was very difficult to beat Night Sorrow even though he was a peak emperor, and close to the heavenly Tao Emperor Calamity. This was because his understanding and comprehension of battle was much worse than Night Sorrow's. In layman's terms, his foundation and foundation were not as good as Night Sorrow's. Night Sorrow went to the other camps to check on Long Hao and Duan Qianshui. Seeing that everyone was doing well and had integrated into the team, Yi Shuang was at ease. Following this, Yi Shuang went to the Demon Mountain stronghold. Lin Yun's main body was in closed-door cultivation, while her clone and Nanyong were guarding the stronghold. After walking around and seeing that everything was normal, Night Sorrow returned to his tent on Broken Mountain. While Night Sorrow was making tea with Wu Lingfei, Lin Chuan arrived. Sit. Night Sorrow pointed at the seat opposite him. Grand Commander, I'm here to break through the Arctic world, Lin Chuan said after sitting down. Then I'll explain the situation first. I have a very deep relationship with the Ice Phoenix race, so it's actually not appropriate for me to guide others to break through the world of extreme cold. However, since I've promised you, I'll help you do it. However, you have to promise me something, Night Sorrow said. I understand what you mean, Great Commander. If I obtain the method to break through the realm of extreme frost, I will only break through Huangjie's realm of extreme frost. I will not harm the Ice Phoenix clansmen, Lin Chuan said. Aunt Fei, what do you think? Night Sorrow looked at Wu Lingfei and asked. Lin Chuan's promise is not a problem. The Ice Phoenix race's realm of extreme frost is extremely difficult to comprehend. However, everyone's comprehension is different. Huangjie has only scratched the surface, Wu Lingfei said. Scratched the surface? Lin Chuan looked at Wu Lingfei with surprise. Yes. Although her talent is not bad, her bloodline limits her development. The realm of extreme frost she has comprehended is only freezing. The orthodox realm of extreme frost is not only freezing, but also cutting, splitting, shaking, penetrating, and other effects, Wu Lingfei said. Grand Commander, this is? Lin Chuan looked at Wu Lingfei. He had seen her a few times before, but he wasn't familiar with her. This is Aunt Fei, Empress Fei of the Ice Phoenix race. She is also the second Golden Phoenix in the history of the Ice Phoenix race, Night Sorrow introduced. After hearing Night Sorrow's introduction, Lin Chuan stood up and cupped his hands at Wu Lingfei. I'm very sorry. I only asked for the method to break through the realm of extreme frost to defeat Huangjie. I have no other intentions, nor do I have any intention of targeting the Ice Phoenix race. I won't teach it to anyone else. Lin Chuan's cultivation was higher than Wu Lingfei's, but their statuses were different. Wu Lingfei was the patriarch of the Divine Beast race. It's nothing. Have a seat. Wu Lingfei shook her head. Then I'll tell you what you're lacking in my eyes. I'll tell you where the Western White Tiger kill needs to be improved. If the power of the technique increases, it won't only be effective against the realm of extreme frost, but it will also be a greater threat to other domains, Night Sorrow said. Lin Chuan didn't reply. He just listened quietly. I don't know how you cultivated it in the past. The current flaw is that the technique isn't perfect. When you use the Western White Tiger kill, it's a collision and cutting attack. However, the opponent's domain energy is flexible and has high defense. It becomes a collision of energy. It lacks technique. To put it simply, it's overbearing but not delicate enough, Night Sorrow said to Lin Chuan. I don't understand what Grand Commander means. Isn't being delicate a part of my personality? Lin Chuan asked. No, look at this. Night Sorrow raised a finger. Then energy exploded from his finger. Shock force, wave force, penetration force, and even folding force, which he dabbled in later on, were all displayed. Lin Chuan looked at it and fell into deep thought. Your Western White Tiger kill is very strong, but it's only an impact. It lacks the ability to disintegrate the opponent's domain. Do you understand now? Night Sorrow reminded Lin Chuan again. Lin Chuan thanks Grand Commander. Lin Chuan stood up and bowed to Night Sorrow. You don't have to be so polite. Since you've come to the first territory and acknowledged it, we'll be brothers who will fight side by side in the future, Night Sorrow said. Don't worry, Your Majesty. Lin Chuan will remember his promise. Lin Chuan promised. Lin Chuan promised again. He didn't want Wu Lingfei to have other thoughts and make everyone unhappy. All right, Lin Chuan. I can only give you an idea. As for how far you can go, that's up to you. Actually, I don't really understand. You're good at cultivating the profound things, but you haven't touched the easier things. It's not just you. I've noticed that many cultivators are like this, said Yishan. You're not the only one. I've noticed that many cultivators are like this. Night Sorrow, this is because you don't understand the divine beasts. Divine beasts born in their ancestral lands will grow faster in their ancestral lands. Because their growth speed is too fast, they'll neglect the transition period in their early stages. In a short time, they'll enter the Saint tier and Monarch tier, and begin to come in contact with the will of heaven and earth. That's why they haven't touched on certain things, Wu Lingfei explained to Night Sorrow. After Lin Chuan left, Night Sorrow and Wu Lingfei drank tea. Auntie Fei, I didn't mean to break through the Arctic domain. You're worried that it'll hurt me? You're overthinking. I've also cultivated the Arctic domain. It's completely different from Huangjia. Unless your cultivation is much higher than mine, you won't be able to break through it, Wu Lingfei said with a smile. Hearing Wu Lingfei's words, Night Sorrow was relieved. This way he could stabilize his cultivation. Half a month later, Night Sorrow felt that his cultivation had stabilized. He took out the book that Yan Wushuang had given him. It was the taboo book, the taboo sword Dao. Chapter 2057. Everyone in the Reincarnation Island knew about Night Sorrow's hard work. In order not to be left behind by Night Sorrow, they didn't just watch Night Sorrow's battles in the future. Long Hao, Duan Qianshui, and Lin Chuan weren't stingy with their pointers to the soldiers and members of the god-slaying team. They wanted everyone to improve together. This made the Grand Elder feel very gratified. This was because a team like this was a truly harmonious team with a core spirit. Update. I won in addition, Jun Xuanji and Zhu Juyun also made the Grand Elder feel very assured. Both of them were in good condition, and were very positive. They didn't have any negative aura. Lin Chuan's mentality had also changed. Originally, he wanted to challenge Huang Jie before undergoing the Heavenly Law Emperor's tribulation. Later on, he felt that there was no difference between winning and not winning. In addition, within 1,000,000 years before the next meeting of heroes, the current lower ranking on the heaven ranking could challenge the higher ranking. This was within the rules. The Emperor's tribulation of the Heavenly Law Emperor's tribulation wasn't difficult for Lin Chuan. He also successfully passed it. Jun Xuanji smashed a teacup. This made Zhu Juyun and Datira, who were not far from her tent, rush to her tent. What's wrong with you? Asked Datira. Nothing. I just feel a little uneasy and unhappy. It has nothing to do with that, said Jun Xuanji. She was referring to the fact that Emo Tianji's memories didn't affect her. If you're unhappy, why don't you tell us? Zhu Juyun didn't understand. An Emperor Realm cultivator's state of mind was extremely high. They wouldn't feel unhappy for no reason. Jun Xuanji didn't say anything because there were some things she didn't want to say. She was unhappy because Night Sorrow disappeared after she said those things. He went straight to the peak of the Broken Sky Mountain to cultivate, and didn't appear again. He was obviously avoiding her. Although Jun Xuanji knew what kind of person Night Sorrow was, and what kind of attitude he had toward Night Sorrow, this situation still aroused her emotions. After sending off Zhu Juyun and Datira, Jun Xuanji suddenly smiled because he understood some things. She had feelings. She had truly fallen in love with someone else. Because of this, the emotional impact in Emo Tianji's memories had been greatly reduced. It could even be said that it was almost negligible. This was something that she didn't expect before. Jun Xuanji could also understand why. Emo Tianji's heart was emotionless, which conflicted with her current situation. She had emotions in her heart, which gave her the foundation to fight against the emotions in Emo Tianji's memories. Although she understood, Jun Xuanji was still very angry because Night Sorrow was running away. She had Night Sorrow in her heart, but she didn't have to marry Night Sorrow. In fact, Night Sorrow really didn't think about this problem. His mind was completely focused on cultivation. His true body was cultivating the momentum of heaven and earth, while his avatar was completely immersed in cultivating the heavenly sword art. The heavenly sword art was not so much a sword art as it was a great Tao. Not only sword cultivators, other cultivators could also cultivate it. Of course, it was extremely difficult, and the success rate of cultivation was extremely low. Days passed in this state. Of course, this was also the case for countless years in the past. After all, war was relatively rare. Only 1 or 2 great wars could happen in an epoch. Night Sorrow had a lot of wars in the past, but it was also a coincidence that it was a war period. Night Sorrow was more engrossed in cultivation, but there were also people who were angry. For example, Mo Tianji and Jun Xuanji, these 2 women who were deeply involved in fate, were very angry at Night Sorrow. However, the reason for their anger was as different as heaven and earth. Mo Tianji couldn't wait to strangle Night Sorrow to death. Night Sorrow's appearance had almost destroyed her path to rise. Even if her current condition was not bad, she knew how difficult it was to recover to the peak. Therefore, not to mention how to fight Night Sorrow in the future. Even if they didn't meet, Mo Tianji would still curse Night Sorrow in her heart. Jun Xuanji was angry at Night Sorrow for not meeting. She didn't think it was that bad. She didn't think that Night Sorrow would compete with her over such a trivial matter. She couldn't understand why Night Sorrow's true body and avatar had disappeared. 3 years later, Night Sorrow came out of seclusion once. He walked around the god-slaying team to take a look before leaving again. He wanted to see how his brothers were doing before facing the Emperor Tribulation. As a result, Jun Xuanji, who had originally planned to throw a tantrum at Yi Shang, didn't have the chance to do so. After Yi Shang returned from the mountain peak, the first thing he did was pay his respects to the Great Elder and the Golden Dragon King. After that, he walked around the 2 strongholds before spending the night with his wives. During this time, Jun Xuanji naturally couldn't be disturbed. By the time she could, Yi Shang had already left the camp. In 3 years, Night Sorrow's void attribute had reached 92%. At a critical point, if he didn't face the Emperor Tribulation, his comprehension speed would decrease. Naturally, he wouldn't suppress it. This was his awareness. Some young cultivators wouldn't face the Emperor Tribulation in advance, even if their cultivation had reached a critical point. This was equivalent to shortening their lifespan. Taking the initiative to face the Emperor Tribulation was fighting against the heavenly Tao in advance. In the past, proud people like Lin Piaomiao and the Great Demon King didn't face the Emperor Tribulation in advance. They used time as the benchmark. This was because the stronger one was, the easier it was to face the Emperor Tribulation. There was no danger in facing the Emperor Tribulation. Later on, because there were many battles and they needed strength, they went to face the Heavenly Tao Emperor Tribulation. Next, Night Sorrow passed the 2nd level of the Heavenly Tao Emperor Tribulation with the Destruction Attribute and Spacetime Attribute. The Grand Elder and the Golden Dragon King weren't seen usually. They also needed to cultivate and seek enlightenment and breakthroughs. Although there was no one to supervise or monitor them, the members of the Samsara Island cultivated very hard. None of them slacked off. This was especially true for the members of the god-slaying team. While their true bodies were cultivating, their clones were not idle either. They were either sparring or going out to train. Because there were almost no more dragon-headed and snake-headed people on Reincarnation Island, the god-slaying team's clones would go to the dangerous areas of the celestial realm to train every once in a while. They needed to improve because Night Sorrow gave them 50 years before they became emperors. After 50 years, they would have to leave the god-slaying team if they didn't become emperors. This was something the god-slaying team members didn't want to face, including Yang Lei, Aoi, and Sikong Chiyu. When the god-slaying team went out to train, Lin Chuan and Lin Yin would follow them. The 2 of them were Night Sorrow's friends. Naturally, they didn't want anything to happen to the god-slaying team. Time was slipping away in this state. The Golden Dragon King and the Grand Elder appeared and said as they watched the god-slaying team leave, "Isn't Night Sorrow a little too harsh on them?" "It's a little harsh, but there's nothing wrong with being harsh on them. Night Sorrow gave them the conditions to rise. He gave them the conditions to nurture the younger generation that surpassed any major faction in the celestial realm. In addition, it's the time when the new and old supreme worlds are changing. They have the fate of two worlds on them. As long as they work hard, they will have a chance, the Grand Elder said. Their lifespans aren't long. If they can fulfill Night Sorrow's requirements, they will become emperors in 1,000 years. Any one of them will be incredible, the Golden Dragon King said. Chapter 2058. At the peak of Broken Sky Mountain, Yishang was feeling the nature of the limitless energy. He cultivated the Heavenly Guide Sword Art. It should be said that he used the Heavenly Guide Sword Art to cultivate the Spear Dao to draw the limitless energy into his body. Bit by bit, he improved his mastery of the Absolute Art. Night Sorrow was using his doppelganger to strengthen the Heavenly Sword Art. His main body was enjoying the results of his doppelganger's cultivation, drawing the infinite energy into his body. He then analyzed it and studied the power of heaven and earth that the infinite energy contained. In the blink of an eye, 13 years had passed. On this day, Night Sorrow's doppelganger was patrolling the stronghold and was caught by the Grand Elder. It's time for you to stop. Although it's every cultivator's dream to cultivate at a high speed, you can't neglect your foundation and state of mind. Look at your cultivation in these 10 years. How many levels have you advanced? The Great Elder didn't want Yishang to continue cultivating. He was worried that Yishang's path would be problematic. For the past 10 years, Night Sorrow had patrolled the stronghold before undergoing his tribulation. In 13 years, Night Sorrow had come out of seclusion 5 times. He was now at the peak of the 5 Emperor tribulations of the Heavenly Tao. After patrolling the stronghold, he would go into seclusion to undergo his tribulation. Grand Elder, my state of mind and foundation do not seem to be a problem, Night Sorrow said. This is not a problem of feeling. It is better to be steady. This king is afraid of you cultivating like this. I can still look at you as a junior now. Who knows how long it will take before I have to change the way I look at you. The Golden Dragon King looked at Night Sorrow and shook his head. For the next 2 years, neither your true body nor your doppelganger will be able to cultivate in seclusion. Even though you've grounded yourself, you can still wander around Samsara Island. You can also arrange for people to bring your family over, said the Great Elder. All right, Night Sorrow nodded. He knew he had no problem, but he could not reject the kindness of an elder. That's right. A minor era lasts for 10 billion years, while a major era lasts for 100 billion years. If you can catch the tail of this major era, it will be enough for you to rise up. The Grand Elder patted Night Sorrow's shoulder. Because of the Grand Elder's instructions, Night Sorrow's main body also returned from the Void Vortex. At this time, Night Sorrow was at the peak of the 5 tribulations of the Heavenly Tao Emperor's tribulation. His aura and aura were very strong. Even the leakless body could not suppress it. It wasn't that the seamless body wasn't domineering enough, but that Night Sorrow's strength and realm had increased too quickly. He couldn't control his aura perfectly. When Night Sorrow came out of seclusion, the members of the God-slaying team naturally gathered together to celebrate. It had been a while since they had gathered together. Nan Liyue brought her spatial treasure to the God capital to get some food and drinks. The reincarnation island no longer had the dragon-headed and snake-headed people, but there were still wild beasts without cultivation. Tianyu went to catch 2 and roasted them. Tianyu, if you believe me, quickly go and catch 2 more prey. There will be more wolves later. Night Sorrow said with a smile. It was impossible for only a few dozen members of the God-slaying team to drink in the stronghold. That was the truth. The other 3 generals were all here. Even Nanyong and Lin Yun's clones were guarding the Demon Mountain stronghold. Their main bodies were also at the Broken Sky Mountain stronghold. How rare. It's actually the Great Commander's main body that came back this time. Nanyong said. You guys have to learn from your Great Commander's tenacity and ruthlessness. If I didn't stop him, would he have come back? The Grand Elder and the Golden Dragon King came out of the tent. Night Sorrow stood up and gave his seat to the Grand Elder and the Golden Dragon King. No one said anything. In fact, everyone was working very hard, but it was too difficult to keep up with Night Sorrow's rhythm. Being his brothers was stressful. Don't think about it. Don't think too much about it. I want you to reach the Dichi layer within 50 years. Of course, that's putting pressure on you, but pressure gives you motivation. I hope that everyone can survive the upcoming battles. If you can't break through to the Dichi layer, go back to Xingyue City and cultivate slowly. When you're ready, come back, said Yishan. This was a rather heavy topic, because entering the Emperor realm wasn't that easy. Believe me, you can do it. If you need any help, I'm willing to do it. Night Sorrow looked at everyone and said, we all understand you and no one will blame you. We're all brothers who have gone through life and death together. If we can't enter the Emperor realm by the time the deadline comes, then we'll return to our world and open a restaurant. This way, we'll have a place to drink in the future. Ho Jian looked at his wife and said, Junior brother, don't worry. We're all mentally prepared. We're also confident that we can enter the Emperor realm within 50 years. Guan Yi looked at Night Sorrow and said, Night Sorrow's two senior brothers were in the God-slaying team, but Mo Chen was already a half-step emperor. It was only a matter of time before he entered the Emperor realm. Night Sorrow nodded. He didn't want to set a time limit of 50 years, but the future battles were very cruel. He had to make some decisions. They drank for an entire night. At dawn, Jun Xuanji, who had sobered up, wanted to talk to Night Sorrow. However, Night Sorrow disappeared again. He had brought his wives, who had come with their original bodies, and left the camp. Reincarnation Island's environment was terrible, but there were still some lakes on the island. The scenery was quite good. After knowing that Night Sorrow had disappeared, Jun Xuanji was furious. He felt that Night Sorrow was hiding. Actually, Night Sorrow didn't think so. He had already forgotten about this matter. Just like Lin Jingyi, he felt that he owed his wife and wanted to accompany her to travel. When he wasn't cultivating, he wanted to leave time for his family. Yi Xiaoluo and Yi Yujun also stayed on Reincarnation Island. They were with the God-slaying team. Some of the God-slaying team members' cultivations were inferior to theirs, but they were very respectful to the God-slaying team members. They were all uncles and uncles. Moreover, they often cultivated with Longjin, Tianyu, and the others. Lin Chuan was also willing to give them pointers. Uncle Chuan, what's my father's cultivation now? Yi Xiaoluo couldn't suppress his curiosity. A few years ago, I could still see your father's cultivation. Now I can't. He should be at the 5 tribulations of the heavenly law. However, your father's strength can't be measured by cultivation, Lin Chuan said. Bullshit. Jun Xuanji cursed angrily after hearing Lin Chuan and the others' conversation. He then turned and returned to his tent. Uncle Long, Uncle Yu, what's going on? Yi Xiaoluo was a little stunned. He had never heard of anyone cursing Night Sorrow in front of the God-slaying team members. Yeah. What's going on? Longjin looked at Tianyu. You're asking me? Who am I supposed to ask? Look at that expression. It's like he's not satisfied. Tianyu muttered. Go to hell. A teapot flew through the gap in the tent's door towards Tianyu's face. Tianyu jumped and dodged. Something's wrong. Longjin and Tianyu had both left. They couldn't offend Jun Xuanji. Jun Xuanji was Night Sorrow's friend, their friend, and one of the core members of the 9 Domains world. Chapter 2059. I don't think so. A war between our families? Second brother, you should know that my mother isn't a pushover. Aunt Xian, or isn't easy to talk to either. Of course, everything is decided by father. We are children. Children don't need to care about some things, Yi Xiaoluo said. Yi Xiaoluo and Yi Yujun left. The two of them didn't dare to offend Jun Xuanji. They also called Jun Xuanji Aunt Jun. Night Sorrow brought his wives to a lake on the island to camp. Night Sorrow, the Grand Elder is right. High-speed cultivation requires a period of time. Even if you don't meet a bottleneck, you need to stop and calm your mind. Lin Piaomiao poured a cup of tea for Night Sorrow after making tea. I know. Some things can't be rushed. Plus, everything is going well, Night Sorrow said. What's going on? Jay, you have been cultivating the lost art left by Master Wushuang all these years. How is it now? Datura asked. There are some gains, but that lost skill is too profound. It is not something that can be cultivated in a short period of time. Master Wushuang also cultivated it for a long time before he was able to cultivate it, Yishang said. A heaven-defying lost art is incomparably profound. How can it be so easy to cultivate? Take it slow. Even the Grand Elder and the Golden Dragon King are afraid of your cultivation speed. It seems that taking it slow is nothing, Sikong Chiyu said. You all use swords. Later, I will discuss with Martial Uncle. If he doesn't object, you can all cultivate the heavenly sword art, Knight Sorrow said. 13. Even you find it difficult to cultivate. How can we cultivate it? Forget it. Don't make it difficult for you if we can't cultivate it, Yang Lei said. Knight Sorrow shook his head. He had his own thoughts about some things. He knew King Yawu's breadth of mind. Asking was out of respect. By the way, I haven't seen Martial Uncle for a long time. I wonder how long you've been in seclusion. Because of Knight Sorrow, Lin Piaomiao and King Yawu were very familiar with each other. Uncle Master wants to break through to a new realm. We don't know what level they are at. I guess it will take a long time for them to go into seclusion. Knight Sorrow shook his head. He wasn't very clear about King Yawu's matters. Knight Sorrow and his wives strolled around Samsara Island. As for the nasty Nirvana storm Maelstrom, it didn't affect Knight Sorrow at all. The forbidden Samsara domain suppressed it. Currently, Knight Sorrow's forbidden attribute, reincarnation, was already at the peak of the intermediate level. His limitless attribute had already been cultivated to 60%. Just his limitless attribute alone was already at the peak of the limitless Emperor realm. He was just one step away from the Emperor realm. Of course, it was very difficult to take this step for an attribute that was not his forte. Countless emperors had spent countless years trying to take this step. Knight Sorrow was also aware of his own situation. If the heavenly sword art didn't appear, his chances of taking this step would be very slim. Now he had a chance, but he still had to study and cultivate it. It's rare for us to be together as a family. Knight Sorrow, you and Sister Xiana have to work hard. Our family must prosper. Sikong Chiyu said with a smile. It's difficult. I'm an Emperor Realm cultivator. Knight Sorrow is at the peak of the fifth tribulation. Plus, he cultivates his body. It won't be easy for him to have a descendant. Of course, if he does have a descendant, his talent will be unparalleled. Even the bloodline of a divine beast's descendant won't be comparable. Lin Piaomiao said. Difficult. Cultivation is even more difficult. Knight Sorrow is already at the Emperor realm of the heavenly Tao. How can having a child be harder than that? Yang Lei said with a smile. All right. You can even compare these two together. I'm really impressed. Lin Piaomiao shook her head helplessly. Aren't we sisters worried for you? Aoi said. We're all young. Take it slow. We'll have a child. We're already married. Why worry about not having a child? Don't tell me you're suspecting that there's something wrong with an Emperor Realm cultivator's body, and that they can't have children? Lin Piaomiao said with a smile. I'm just worried that you Jun and the others will have a descendant that's older than yours. Isn't that awkward? Sikong Chiyu explained the reason for his worry. Haha. It's nothing. Let nature take its course. Knight Sorrow shook his head with a smile. Sometimes, things seem to be afraid of being talked about. A year after their journey, Lin Piaomiao discovered that a new life had been born in her body. This made her overjoyed. Although she said that she didn't care and that she could wait, she really hoped to have a child of her own with Yishang. Knight Sorrow was also very happy. He didn't care if he had one more or one less child. However, he didn't want Lin Piaomiao to have any regrets. The happy few stopped playing and returned to the encampment on Reincarnation Island. At the same time, they informed their parents in Sky City that the Yi clan was going to have a child. This was a big deal in the Yi clan. This also made Jun Xuanji, who was waiting for Knight Sorrow to return and wanted to mess with Knight Sorrow, give up. Messing with Knight Sorrow at this time wasn't something a smart person would do. After giving up the idea, Jun Xuanji congratulated Knight Sorrow and Lin Piaomiao. Knight Sorrow, what do you think? I let you take a break. Did you gain more than cultivating in seclusion? The Grand Elder was also very happy. He knew what the Yi clan of the Nine Domain world was like. He was looking forward to the rise of the Yi clan of the 9-domain world. Haha. Thank you, Grand Elder. This gain is too great. It can be said that it made up for my and Piao Miao's regrets. Night Sorrow's face was full of smiles. A year later, when the child is born, you can go into seclusion and cultivate. I won't care about you anymore. The Grand Elder nodded. The days were peaceful. Night Sorrow stayed in the stronghold. While accompanying his wife, he also gave pointers to the cultivation of the god-slaying team members. He also taught his children in the stronghold. However, only Yi Yujun and Yi Xiaoluo were in the stronghold. Yi Lingxi, Yi Xiaolei, and Yi Qingyan were cultivating elsewhere. They were all trying to break through to the Emperor realm. As the days passed, Lin Piaomiao was getting closer and closer to giving birth. At this time, the Grand Elder suggested that Lin Piaomiao go to the Divine Capital and wait for the birth at Yaowa Mountain. Grand Elder, I'm forbidden from leaving Reincarnation Island. Isn't that making me anxious? Hearing the Grand Elder's words, Night Sorrow was a bit anxious. Why are you so anxious? Is it a problem for an Emperor Tribulation cultivator to give birth? The Grand Elder glared at Night Sorrow. Are you stupid? Yaowa Mountain is where the human race's dragon head is located. Your martial uncle is watching over that place, and no one is allowed to get close. You're worried and unwilling to let your wife go? The Golden Dragon King shook his head. Chapter 2060. Exhaling, Night Sorrow activated 96% of his void attribute Heaven and Earth Grand Momentum. After the Heaven and Earth law sensed Night Sorrow's aura, the lightning tribulation was formed and began to bombard Night Sorrow. With the virtuous immortal body protecting him, Night Sorrow brandished his samsara halberd and clashed with the lightning tribulation. Night Sorrow was transcending the tribulation in his peak state. In addition, many of his attributes were saturated. The violent bombardment of the lightning tribulation did not hurt Night Sorrow. Instead, it made his aura soar. The heavenly Tao lightning tribulation was extremely violent. The troops of the 3 divisions at Broken Mountain were alarmed. Everyone could even see Night Sorrow using his spear and fist techniques to clash with the lightning tribulation in the air. Long Jin, Brother 13 doesn't take the lightning tribulation seriously. From the looks of it, he seems to be excited, said Tianyu. The heavenly Tao Emperor tribulation is very violent and has destroyed many cultivators. However, those who are eliminated are cultivators with high cultivation and low abilities. In other words, those who do not have the combat strength to match their realm will die if they come into contact with the heavenly Tao Emperor tribulation. But what about your commander? His combat strength exceeds his realm. Therefore, he is qualified to clash with the heavenly Tao Emperor tribulation, said the Golden Dragon King. After transcending the heavenly Tao 6 tribulations with the void attribute, Night Sorrow activated the destruction attribute. Apart from the limitless attribute, Night Sorrow's other 3 attributes advanced together. They were all at the peak of the heavenly Tao 5 tribulations, and could break through to the heavenly Tao 6 tribulations. The high end of his attributes was also the difficult part for Night Sorrow to cultivate the heavenly sword art. Yi Tianxing created the heavenly sword art from the low level. She was of the destruction attribute, and also cultivated other general attributes. Her ultimate technique began to communicate with the energy of heaven and earth with the general attributes. However, Night Sorrow could not do this. Night Sorrow did not have any general attributes and directly cultivated from the high-level attributes. Therefore, it was more difficult. He started with the spatial attribute that he was more proficient in. Only then did he have some clues. Night Sorrow also didn't have the intention to cultivate the general attributes, because he didn't need it. He was not willing to do things that would waste time and neglect the essentials. He felt that even if it took a little effort, he had to walk this path. The middle stage of the heavenly sword technique was a high-level attribute that could attract the energy of heaven and earth. It was a path that he had to walk sooner or later. When Lin Piaomiao appeared at the stronghold of Broken Mountain on Reincarnation Island with the child in her arms, Night Sorrow's time and space attribute lightning tribulation was nearing its end. What is he doing? Lin Piaomiao looked at the baby in swaddling clothes, and then looked at the peak of Broken Sky Mountain. He's so excited that he's bombarding the heavenly Tao's tribulation lightning, said Sikong Chiyu with a smile. This little guy's eyes are really bright. The Grand Elder said as he looked at the child in Lin Piaomiao's arms. Innately open meridians, rich bloodline energy, attributes. Elder Lin, this is a good seedling. The golden dragon was only halfway through his sentence when Night Sorrow returned. Night Sorrow's aura rippled as his eyes shone. He was truly in high spirits. Haha, let me carry him. Night Sorrow laughed as he took the child in Lin Piaomiao's arms. Night Sorrow lowered his head to look at the child. The child chuckled and even reached out to grab Night Sorrow's chin. His small hands are strong. Night Sorrow looked at the child with a smile on his face. Name. Sikong Chiyu looked at Night Sorrow and asked. Name. I haven't thought of it yet. Night Sorrow was stunned. Think of it now. Lin Piaomiao glared at Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow laughed and began to think. When he turned his head to look at Broken Sky Mountain, he saw the half-moon rising from the mountain. He immediately turned his head and said, his arrival made up for my and Piaomiao's regrets. The moon waxes and wanes, but I hope I have no regrets in life. Let's call him Yi Xiaokei. Isn't Yi Wuk good? The Grand Elder asked in confusion. My father's generation was a generation without words. Besides, who can be without any regrets? Just a little less is enough. What do you think? Night Sorrow explained and looked at Lin Piaomiao and his wives. It's all right. It has some artistic conception. Lin Piaomiao nodded. Yes, it has some literary accomplishments. Datira also agreed with this name. Father taught me history and poetry in the past. Night Sorrow smiled and passed the child to Lin Piaomiao. Congratulations, Father. Congratulations, Auntie. Night Sorrow's children bowed to Night Sorrow and Lin Piaomiao. Congratulations, Grand Commander. The soldiers and members of the God-slaying team in Broken Sky Mountain shouted. Night Sorrow waved his hand and used his energy to block the impact of the sound on the child. However, it was too late. However, Yi Xiaokei didn't cry or make a fuss. His eyes were filled with curiosity and he didn't show any signs of fear. Thank you for your kind intentions. We'll celebrate later. You didn't scare my son. Otherwise you'll suffer. Night Sorrow tidied up his son's clothes and said. Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation happy. Night Sorrow was too happy. He hoped that his family would be happy. His wives all had their own children. That way he wouldn't have any regrets in life. Night Sorrow, who had a high alcohol tolerance, was knocked out by someone. After waking up, Night Sorrow had a slight hangover. He had to circulate his energy for a while to recover. He didn't even know how much alcohol he had drunk. Sister Xian, you'll have to work harder in the future. I'll have to go into seclusion later, Night Sorrow said. Go into seclusion. We'll take care of the child. Sikong Chiyu said while carrying Yi Xiaokei. Every time a child comes, my status in the family will drop a little. But it doesn't matter. Night Sorrow smiled at his wives and then left the campsite. His main body and avatar separated to cultivate. Half of the 30 years of confinement had passed. His cultivation had been successful in the past 15 years, and he even had a child. Night Sorrow was very gratified, but he had a higher goal. He wanted to raise his cultivation to the Emperor Tribulation level during the 30 years of confinement. At that time, he could go to the Nirvana Ocean Bridge to cultivate his own force. There, his soul power had once spread into the void. Cultivating there was twice the result with half the effort. 3 years later, after 18 years of confinement, Night Sorrow cultivated to the 7th tribulation of the Heavenly Tao. 10 years later, Night Sorrow's 25th year of confinement, he raised his cultivation to the 8th tribulation of the Heavenly Tao. He also cultivated the Heavenly Sword technique to a high level. However, his comprehension of the peerless Heavenly Tao's force was still stuck at a bottleneck. Helpless, Night Sorrow planned to have some peace and quiet. In the past few years, he would first go through the tribulation, and then return to the stronghold to rest. When he reached the periphery of the stronghold, his soul power probed the scene. Night Sorrow was a little conflicted because the scene was too unimaginable. Lin Chuan and Yi Xiaokei were peeing beside a mountain stream outside the stronghold. They were shouting loudly, competing to see who could pee further. After the two of them finished peeing, Night Sorrow rushed over and carried Yi Xiaoke back to the stronghold. Lin Chuan naturally followed. What's the matter? Why are you pulling such a long face? Lin Piumiao appeared. Tell. What should he say? After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow turned around and pointed at Lin Chuan. Chapter 2061. It's nothing, you guys can chat. Lin Chuan cupped his hands towards Night Sorrow and Lin Piumiao before turning to leave. He knew that Night Sorrow would be furious, and if he didn't leave, he would be punished. Xiaoke, tell mother what happened. Lin Piumiao pulled her son to her side and asked. Xiaoke and Uncle Chuan had a pee contest to see who could pee further. It seems like father isn't very happy. Yi Xiaoke fixed his collar and said softly, Lin Chuan, you bastard. Lin Piumiao also cursed, but Lin Chuan had already run away. It's nothing, children should grow up happily. However, Lin Chuan bullied our Xiaoke. This is too much. Yang Lei came out and pulled Yi Xiaoke to her side. That's true, growing up happily is necessary. Night Sorrow knew that the members of the stronghold all treated their children like treasures. Lin Chuan was playing with the child. One had to know that Lin Chuan usually taught Yi Xiaoke very seriously. Night Sorrow was very happy that he successfully passed the tribulation. Other than that, the family was very harmonious and his children were all growing up well. The Grand Elder and the Golden Dragon King didn't appear, but the two of them were talking in a large tent at the edge of the stronghold. 30 years of confinement allowed Night Sorrow and Reincarnation Island to undergo a transformation. Is it a hero who creates the times, or the times create the heroes? The Golden Dragon King was somewhat emotional. The Golden Dragon race's Long Jin had developed well in the past 20 years. During the meeting of heroes, Long Jin was at the peak of the low-class emperor rank, and was half a step into the middle-class emperor rank. After 20 years of bitter cultivation, he was now at the late stage of the middle-class emperor rank, and was moving towards the peak of the emperor rank. Tianyu and the others were also developing rapidly. The descendants of several divine beast races were also rapidly rising. Other than that, a few members of the god-slaying team had also entered the emperor rank. Under Night Sorrow's high-pressure deadline, they all exploded with their potential. How should I say this? It's relative. Even without this turbulent period, with Night Sorrow's talent, incomparable tenacity and perseverance, his rise was inevitable. Of course, his appearance at this time had also stirred up the situation between Heaven Wasteland and the Celestial Realm. If Night Sorrow had not been exiled to Heaven Wasteland and Yan Wushuang's soul had been defeated in the battle with Mo Tianji would have returned to the Demon Wing clan. Not to mention how much stronger she would have been. She would have been one of the giants of the Demon Wing clan. In addition, the Human Emperor's seal will definitely fall into the hands of the Demon Wing clan, which will be a great blow to the fortune of the 100 clans of the Celestial Realm, the Grand Elder said. The Golden Dragon King thought about Night Sorrow's past and said, he brought back the Human Emperor's skeleton, took the Desolation Halberd, and stopped Mo Yutian's plan to take over the Reincarnation Sea. His contributions to the Celestial Realm are terrifying. There's a pile of external contributions, but what about internal contributions? His appearance stimulated the courage of the younger generation of the Celestial Realm, and led a trend. The Humanitarian League under his command also cleaned up the pests in the Celestial Realm, and set up a moral standard, the Grand Elder said. Then the Golden Dragon King and the Grand Elder discussed and predicted the future of the Reincarnation Island. First of all, after 30 years, Night Sorrow was likely to be an Emperor's Tribulation cultivator. With this cultivation level, he was qualified to be a law-enforcing elder in the Council of Elders. Young. Night Sorrow was young, but he had experience. The current law-enforcing elder could not compare to Night Sorrow in terms of contributions and strength of the 100 clans of the Celestial Realm. In addition, when the Reincarnation Island appeared, the 4 lists of the 100 clans of the Celestial Realm would be reshuffled. Whether it was the Celestial List, Terrestrial List, Human List, or King List, the Reincarnation Island would set off a wave of impact. Then what should we do with Night Sorrow and the Reincarnation Island? The Golden Dragon King asked. What should we do? Let's not talk about this. Let the elders of the 100 clans talk about it themselves. They all know the title of immortal godly emperor. Suppress it? If they dare, then we'll suppress them. The great elder smiled. The Golden Dragon King shook his head. He knew that when it came to Night Sorrow, as long as one was not an idiot, they would have a benchmark. Suppressing the human emperor would not do them any good. Another point was that Night Sorrow's connections were terrifying. Almost all the major mythological beast clans were friends with Night Sorrow. It was not the kind of superficial friendship, but true friendship. Night Sorrow was with his family and did not talk to Lin Chuan and the others about the child's education. Things like peeing were all for fun. In terms of principles, Lin Chuan and the others were very strong. What do you plan to do next? Let's rest for a while. Lin Piumiao asked. Night Sorrow shook his head. His original body wanted to break through to the next realm, and his clone wanted to cultivate the heavenly sword technique. Currently, the technique he cultivated could not be called the heavenly sword technique. The most suitable name was the limitless spear art. This was because Night Sorrow's direction of cultivation was the limitless attribute. Night Sorrow's goal in cultivating the limitless spear art was not to pursue combat power. He used this technique as a means to assist in his cultivation. He constantly understood the limitless attribute. This way, he would be able to cultivate the limitless attribute with twice the result with half the effort. Night Sorrow was very clear that his future combat power would depend on the level of the limitless attribute. In the combination of attributes, the lowest attribute realm determined the quality of the taboo attribute. After staying in the stronghold of Broken Mountain for a while, Night Sorrow went to the Demon Mountain area to take a look. His original body cultivated, and his clone in the stronghold, Nan Yong and Lin Yun accompanied Night Sorrow for a walk. After more than 20 years of operation, the stronghold of Demon Mountain was impregnable. This was because the elders had sent a formation master to set up a defense array around the stronghold. Nanyong, Lin Yun, I'll let Song Jingang and Duan Qianshui bring their troops over. You guys bring people to the stronghold of Broken Mountain to change the defense. Night Sorrow said. Commander, it's fine for us to stay here. There are no enemies, no pressure, no need to worry about changing the defense. Nan Yong expressed his opinion. It's better to change it. Our reincarnation island will fight side by side in the future. The friendship between brothers is very important. Your subordinates lack communication with the other three. Without communication, there will be no affection. Who can block a blade for who? Night Sorrow did not accept Nanyang's suggestion. Yes. This subordinate didn't think it through just now. When Song Jingang and Duan Qianshui arrive, this subordinate will bring our brothers to the stronghold of Broken Mountain. After hearing Night Sorrow's explanation, Nanyong bowed and accepted the order. Night Sorrow patrolled the Demon Mountain territory. Inside Lin Piaomiao's tent at the stronghold of Broken Mountain, Datura chased Night Sorrow out to play. She told her sisters about the conversation she heard between Night Sorrow and Jun Xuanji. There's such a thing? But it doesn't seem to have any effect on Night Sorrow. For more than 20 years, Night Sorrow came out of seclusion to accompany us or patrol the stronghold. I said. Chapter 2062. That's right. Back then, Night Sorrow's attitude towards Lin Jingyi made me feel bad, but he still persevered. Looking at the situation this time, his attitude is still the same, always said. Night Sorrow has his own considerations, so we should try not to get involved in this matter. Moreover, Jun Xuanji's situation is different. If something really goes wrong, it will be a big problem. Simply speaking, it's a family matter of our Yi family, but more importantly, it concerns the situation of the celestial realm, Lin Piaomiao said. Be update H soon, Part 1. It hasn't been easy for her all these years. Let's see how she and Night Sorrow deal with this. Sikong Chiyu nodded. She supported Lin Piaomiao's idea. After walking around the stronghold of the Demon Mountain, Night Sorrow returned to the camp of the Broken Sky Mountain. He called Song Jingang and Duan Qianshui to the command tent, and told them about the change of guard. After receiving the order, Song Jingang and Duan Qianshui led their men and set off. After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow went to the tent where the Grand Elder and the Golden Dragon King were resting. The Heaven Wasteland army is being mobilized? Are you going to do something? The Grand Elder asked. Nothing much. The main thing is that I feel that the men of Samsara Island need to communicate with each other. This way, they will have a tacit understanding and brotherhood on the battlefield. So I arrange for them to change the guard. Night Sorrow explained the purpose of the change of guard. Very good. You've thought about it thoroughly. This is also an important reason why your men have such a strong ability to cooperate in battle. In the other armies of the Heaven Wasteland Army, conflicts are common, but it's different for your troops. Fights are common, but they're all so happy and harmonious. It's true brotherhood. The Great Elder nodded. He supported Yi Shang's idea. Night Sorrow, this king has a say in the Council of Elders. Why don't I hand over the Heaven Wasteland Army to you? The Golden Dragon King said. The management of the Heaven Wasteland City was the Council of Elders of the 100 Races. The person with the highest status was the Grand Elder, followed by the law-enforcing elders, ordinary elders, commanders of the Heaven Wasteland Army, and captains. There were also some top cultivators who did not usually show up, such as Tran Hung, Lord of Heavenly Wasteland City, Lord of Divine Capital, and the clan leader of the Divine Beast clan, who had a higher status. They were the guardians of Heavenly Wasteland City, and the Grand Elders of the Council of Elders. Because they had their own clans to manage, they would not show up unless Heavenly Wasteland City and the 100 Races Alliance were in danger. Lord Golden Dragon King, let's not have such thoughts. I'm too busy. It's good enough that I can manage the Heaven Wasteland Army well. Night Sorrow hurriedly refused. All right, I won't force you. The Heaven Wasteland Army under your command is much stronger than before. This is already very good. The Grand Elder knew Night Sorrow's character, and knew that Night Sorrow especially hated trouble. 8 tribulations of the Heavenly Tao. Your confinement will end in 5 years. You might be able to break through to the next level in 5 years. After that, you'll have to slowly settle down. The Golden Dragon King said. Night Sorrow nodded. He knew that he had underestimated the situation, and had set his goal a little too high. It was harder to comprehend the momentum of the Heavenly Tao at the later stages. There was a gap between the 9 tribulations of the Heavenly Tao and the Imperial Tribulation that needed time to settle down. Yu Zhu and Rui Si had settled down for a long time. Lin Piaomiao and the Great Demon King did not undergo the Emperor Tribulation previously, because they did not want to cause trouble in advance. In reality, they had been stuck at the 9 tribulations of the Heavenly Tao for a long time. After chatting with the Grand Elder and the Golden Dragon King for a while, Night Sorrow left the tent and made arrangements for the people that Nanyong and Linyun had brought back. While making arrangements, Night Sorrow received a piece of good news. Yi Xiaolei had successfully entered the Imperial Realm, while cultivating in Starry Moon City. She was the 3rd child of Night Sorrow to enter the Imperial Realm. These guys are faster than us. We're still stuck at the bottleneck and they've already rushed past it, Yang Lei said with a smile. As a mother, she was naturally happy that her daughter had entered the Imperial Realm. Qing Yan has a calm personality and her foundation is the most solid. It's only a matter of time before she enters the Imperial Realm. As for Lingxi, you don't have to worry, Night Sorrow said to Sikong Chuyu and Xueshi. He did not want them to feel pressured. They're your children. Of course, there's no problem, Sikong Chuyu nodded. After celebrating for his daughter, Night Sorrow warned his family again that they were not allowed to change the area they were active in. They were not allowed to go through any trials. He was worried about Mo Tianji. Mo Tianji's disappearance was a huge hidden danger. In reality, Mo Tianji had always been annoyed. Her 2 moves did not respond. There was no news about Jun Xuanji's soul reincarnation. She could not even find out where he was. Moreover, after she possessed Zhu Juyun, she planned to control Zhu Juyun's original body as well. However, she did not sense anything. Every time she came out of the time acceleration magic treasure, Mo Tianji would pay attention to the news. Then, she would relax for a while before rapidly increasing her cultivation. The Demon Wing clan stabilized because Mo Yutian went into seclusion to break through to a new level. The 100 clans of the celestial realm did not do anything because King Yawu was in seclusion. The Zhuge realm, whose leader Zhuge Qian was killed by the Humanitarian League, did not do anything either. The Humanitarian League was already established. If the Zhuge realm did anything, they would face the merciless attacks of the Humanitarian League. In the Tianhuang mountain area, a miserable figure was flying continuously, avoiding the pursuit of the Demon Wing clan. He was Heaven's Horizon, who was exiled to Tianhuang. After being exiled, Heaven's Horizon was running for his life. He was not willing to accept that his position in the clan had been shaken. He was not willing to be suppressed by Night Sorrow. In addition, being raped by a wild boar was an eternal humiliation in his heart. He wanted revenge. Run. As long as he was discovered by the Demon Wing clan, Heaven's Horizon would keep running. Fortunately, he was from the Green Rock clan, and was good at speed. He was not caught or killed by the Demon Wing clan. He was tired. He could not hold on any longer. Looking at the Demon Wing clan behind him, Heaven's Horizon turned around. He did not plan to run anymore. Soon, Heaven's Horizon was surrounded by several Demon Wing clan emperors. I am a direct descendant of the Green Rock clan of the Celestial Realm. I want to see the upper echelons of your Demon Wing clan. Heaven's Horizon said. He wanted to find a way to change his current situation. Mo Li-Qin, this pretty boy is not bad. Don't you like him? I'll leave him to you. Don't kill him. If we bring him back, it might be a great merit. One of the Demon Wing clan emperors said. What are you doing? Heaven's Horizon's face changed. He was afraid when he saw the Demon Wing clan emperor's eyes. The psychological trauma from last time was very serious. What are we doing? If you want to live, then be honest. We'll give you a chance to communicate with the upper echelons. If you make me unhappy, the consequence will be your death. The Demon Wing clan emperor Mo Li-Qin, who had a thick beard, said. Chapter 2063. Even leaning against the tree was useless. Under the attack of the Demon Wing Imperial Emperor, Heaven's Horizon was afraid of death and did not dare to fight head-on. Naturally, it was captured, tortured, and sent to the Demon Imperial City. Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. Night Sorrow was not worried about whether he could complete his goal before the end of his confinement. So what if he could not complete it? No one said that he had to end his cultivation and leave Reincarnation Island after his confinement ended. He could cultivate for as long as he wanted. However, something happened that made Night Sorrow very happy. The 9-domain world's Great World Tribulation had arrived. After passing it, the 9-domain world would be at the Great World level. The 9-domain origins told Night Sorrow that the tribulation would come in a few years. It was still brewing. It would probably wait until Night Sorrow's confinement ended. Night Sorrow was not worried about the danger brought by the tribulation. He was excited. In the past, the Chaos Realm's 3 great worlds' world tribulation had passed without an emperor. Now that he was at the 8th tribulation of the Heavenly Tao, he could naturally withstand it. There were many emperors in the other 9-domain worlds. The God-slaying team was very strong now. If they could not pass the world tribulation with their strength, then there was nothing to say. Looking at Yi Xiaoke, Night Sorrow felt that he should throw him into the 9-domain world for a while, and let him come in contact with the 9-domain world more. When Lin Piaomiao was pregnant, Night Sorrow was worried that Yi Xiaoke's life origin belonged to the Celestial Realm. After all, the Celestial Realm did not have much lifespan. It was only one era. Later, the 9-domain origins told Night Sorrow that when Yi Xiaoke showed signs of life, he absorbed the origin power of the 9-domain origins pearl in Night Sorrow's body. His life imprint belonged to the 9-domain world. Only then did Night Sorrow feel relieved. This meant that Yi Xiaoke was from the 9-domain world. When Yi Xiaoke was born, he also absorbed some of the Celestial Realm's Fate Dragon's fate. This was a great help. One had to know that ordinary people could not even get close to Yawa Mountain, let alone give birth. This was because King Yawu was familiar with Lin Piaomiao's aura and Grand Elder's aura. Otherwise, even if he was in seclusion, he would have come out and killed the intruders. Night Sorrow didn't tell anyone about the 9-domain world's tribulation. He had his 9-domain world clone so he wouldn't be caught off guard. In addition, Night Sorrow told his wives that it was better for their children to return to the 9 regions world, especially Yi Xiaoke. Everyone in the Yi family respected Night Sorrow's opinion. His wives brought their children back to the 9 domains world. Night Sorrow began to cultivate again, aiming for the heavenly Tao 9th Arch Tribulation. 5 years passed in the blink of an eye. Night Sorrow's self-confinement was over, but he didn't reach the Emperor Tribulation realm. On the 29th year of his confinement, which was 1 year before the end of his confinement, Night Sorrow reached the peak of the Emperor Tribulation realm. Now that his confinement was over, Night Sorrow planned to prepare for the 9 domains world's tribulation. Night Sorrow found the Grand Elder and Golden Dragon King, and told them about his return to the 9 domains world, and the impending tribulation. After all, he had to deal with it. Very good. It's different from 5 years ago. The new and old Supreme Worlds can keep up with the pace. Go back and deal with it. The Grand Elder said. I will bring back the 9 domains world members of the God-slaying team. The other 3 great generals and First Army will continue to be stationed at Reincarnation Island. Night Sorrow told them his plans. The Grand Elder and Golden Dragon King both supported Night Sorrow's plans. In addition, because Jun Xuanji and Zhu Juyin were going to follow Night Sorrow back to the 9 domains world, the Grand Elder also decided to return to the heavenly desolate city. The Golden Dragon King's doppelganger was enough to guard the 9 domains world. The Golden Dragon King was weaker than the giant of the Demon Wing clan, but with the help of the Stronghold's formation, he wouldn't be defeated in a short time. This time, the heavenly desolate city's city lord and Grand Elder would be able to come to his aid. In addition, the 100 races of the celestial realm had been developing on Reincarnation Island for decades. The Demon Wing clan wouldn't attack so easily. After returning to the 9 domains world, Night Sorrow let the God-slaying team camp in the 9 domains world while he returned to the city in the sky. In the past few days, Night Sorrow's 9 domains doppelganger had been cultivating the unbounded spear arts, and hadn't spent much time with his family. Now he planned to spend time with his parents and Old Man Gu before the 9 domains world's tribulation. Night Sorrow spent every day drinking tea with his parents and fishing with Old Man Gu. As for his children, they had long since disappeared. Half a month after Night Sorrow returned to the 9 domains world, Taishu Yen returned with Yi Xiaoke. Seeing Yi Xiaoke with his head lowered and silent, Night Sorrow knew that his son might have gotten into trouble, so he looked at Taishu Yen. It's not a big deal. Xiaoke entered the realm of unbounded desolation, and had some conflicts with the demon beasts. The Black Dragon King had no choice but to come to me. He thought it was a cultivator from another world who came to make trouble, Taishu Yen said. You bastard, don't you know how to behave? Night Sorrow glared at Yi Xiaoke. Father, you can't blame me for this. I was just looking around. I didn't intend to get into a conflict with anyone. It was an accident that I offended the Black Dragon King, Yi Xiaoke said. Martial Ant, tell me what trouble he caused. I'll deal with it. Night Sorrow said after inviting Taishu Yen to sit down. Forget about it. It's embarrassing to talk about it. Taishu Yen didn't elaborate. Xiaoke, explain it clearly. Lin Pianmiao said. Mother, it's like this. I was traveling around the 9 domains world. That day, I rested on a mountain. After resting, I stood on the mountain peak and peed. As a result, I peed on someone, and he lost his temper. That's what happened. Yi Xiaoke's voice was somewhat low. His pee had traveled far. After all, he had practiced with Lin Chuan before. That day he had poured energy into his pee. So his pee had traveled through the clouds, from the mountain peak to the foot of the mountain, and on to the sleeping Black Dragon King. Black Dragon King, who had thought it was raining, immediately understood what had happened when he saw Yi Xiaoke pulling up his pants. How could he bear it? He had chased after Yi Xiaoke and started killing him. Naturally, he didn't know who Yi Xiaoke was. Although Black Dragon King was quite strong, the 15-year-old Yi Xiaoke was already at the Middle King realm. Black Dragon King was no match for him. Yi Xiaoke, who had remembered his parents' instructions not to kill easily, immediately ran away. Since he couldn't catch Yi Xiaoke, Black Dragon King had mobilized the demon beasts of the realm of unbounded desolation to intercept him, which had turned into a beast tide. You bastard! Martial Ant, where is Black Dragon King now? I'll take my men to apologize. Night Sorrow sighed. He really couldn't say anything about this matter. His son hadn't done anything wrong. It was just that he had peed in the wrong place. He's still in 9 Domain City. It's not a big deal, but no one would feel good about being peed on, Tai Shuyan said with a smile. Sister Xian, let's take our son to Black Dragon King and apologize. Night Sorrow said. He had a friendship with Black Dragon King, the former Black Dragon Saint. He had to give him an explanation. Chapter 2064. He's just a child. Why are you being so calculative with a child? Night Sorrow educates his child. Don't you understand that this is just a small matter? Yin Tianlong said. Night Sorrow educates his child? That little fellow can't be Night Sorrow's son, right? Black Dragon Lord looked at Yin Tianlong in surprise. You're right. That's Night Sorrow's youngest child. I just got the news from Tai Shuyan. That child is only in his teens. He didn't have any ill intentions. It was just an accident. Yin Tianlong said. Sigh. So what if he pees all over? He's already a 4-star king in his teens. That's amazing. Hearing that Yi Xiaoke was Night Sorrow's child, Black Dragon Lord shook his head. He knew that this matter was over. Night Sorrow was someone he respected, and also the realm lord of the 9 regions world. He had done a lot for the 9 regions world. He couldn't make things difficult for Night Sorrow. As Black Dragon Lord said this, Night Sorrow and his wife brought Yi Xiaoke into the city lord's mansion. I'm sorry about this. Xiaoke quickly apologized to Senior Black Dragon Lord. Senior, I'm sorry. It's Yi Xiaoke's fault. I didn't understand and made you angry. Yi Xiaoke bowed to Black Dragon Lord. Domain Lord, what are you doing? Young Domain Lord, if you shouted and told me your identity, I wouldn't have chased you. However, your pee was too far and too accurate. Black Dragon Lord cupped his hands to Night Sorrow. Yi Xiaoke apologized again. Regardless of whether it was intentional or not, he had hurt Black Dragon Lord. After chatting for a while, Black Dragon Lord also expressed his apologies. He didn't want to make things difficult for anyone. In the beginning, he was just angry. Xiaoke, it's okay to do something wrong. Don't run away. You have to face it bravely. Night Sorrow looked at his son and said, Father, you told me not to kill for no reason. At that time, Senior Black Dragon Lord didn't listen to my explanation and wanted to kill me. So I had to run. Yi Xiaoke said softly. You're still saying you're right? Night Sorrow glared at Yi Xiaoke. Haha. Don't scold me anymore, Realm Lord. I made a big fuss out of nothing this time. It's not a big deal. Next time, when you go to the realm of unbounded desolation, just let me know in advance, and I'll let you know. You can do whatever you want, and no demon beasts will dare to provoke you. The 9 realms world is your father's territory, and the realm of unbounded desolation is my, Black Dragon Monarch's, territory. I really don't know what to do with you. Martial Uncle Taishu Monarch Yun, give the order to gather all cultivators above the Saint King realm. We will have a war in 3 months. Night Sorrow said to Taishu Yan and Yun Tianlong. What, is there going to be a big battle? Taishu Yan's eyes lit up. The great world tribulation of the 9 domain world is coming. We need to solve this problem. Although it's not a big problem, we need to call out those who need to. Everyone has a chance to contribute to the 9 domain world, so do it, Night Sorrow said. Taishu Yan, Yin Tianlong, and Black Dragon Monarch all bowed to Night Sorrow. This was an official military order. They had to carry out the Realm Lord's order. After giving the orders, Night Sorrow left the City Lord's mansion with Lin Piaomiao and Yi Xiaoke, and went to the teleportation portal. After arriving at Sky City and exiting the teleportation portal, Yi Xiaoke bowed to Night Sorrow and Lin Piaomiao and said, I'm sorry. I didn't know any better and made father and mother worry. Father, please don't be angry. I'll be more careful in the future. Night Sorrow smiled and shook his head. It's not a big deal. It was an accident. Just go and apologize. Looking at his father, Yi Xiaoke nodded. He was a little afraid of Night Sorrow, mainly because he didn't want to make him angry. He knew how difficult it was for his father from his mother and aunt's education. He didn't want to trouble his father with some of his matters. Translator, Zephy's editor. Dioquin, actually it's nothing. Let's go home. Everyone is here. You don't have to go back to spend time with your family. Remember, no matter how great your achievements are, your family must value you. Night Sorrow said to his son. Xiaoke, you might have been influenced by the rumors outside. Don't think that it's hard to communicate with your father just because he has fame and achievements. Your father is patient and tolerant towards you and your brother. Lin Piaomiao said to Yi Xiaoke. After returning to Sky City, Night Sorrow chatted with his family about the changes in the 9-domain world. His 9-domain doppelganger also cultivated the limitless spear art, so he didn't know much about the 9-domain world. Now that he investigated, he found that it had expanded to the same size as the Chaos Realm's 3 great worlds. The level was about the same, but the Chaos Realm's 3 great worlds couldn't be compared to the 9-domain world. The 9-domain world was a new world with rich spiritual energy. It also contained more opportunities and was full of vitality. After returning home, Yi Xiaoke was still not in a good mood, because he knew that his sister and brothers had never caused any trouble. They also didn't ask their parents to go out and apologize. Night Sorrow sat beside Yi Xiaoke and patted his shoulder. Are you still thinking about today's matter? If you don't understand, then Father will tell you. Father will tell you Father's view of the world and his attitude towards you and your siblings. First of all, we Yi family members must have a clear conscience. As long as we can do this, we will dare to face any challenge. Today's matter, whether you did it intentionally or not, was wrong. So we went to apologize. This is the basic principle. The Yi family members listened and no one interrupted, including Yi Wuyo and Yu Qing, who spoiled their grandson very much. If we apologize and the other party doesn't continue to make things difficult for us, then the matter will end happily. If the other party doesn't forgive us on the basis of our unintentional injury, then we are not afraid of the matter. We will deal with it however we want. Night Sorrow said. Xiaoke will remember Father's teachings. Yi Xiaoke nodded. Also remember one thing. If you encounter a problem, you have your sister and brother. You have Father. You can tell Father anything. Night Sorrow nodded at Yi Xiaoke. Got it. Yi Xiaoke took the teapot and poured a cup of tea for Night Sorrow. Haha. It's my youngest son's first time serving tea. I must drink it. Night Sorrow took the tea and drank it in one gulp. Xiaoke, come to Grandma's side. Yu Qing waved her hand and pulled her grandson to her side. Your father is right. We Yi family members must have a clear conscience. If we do this, we will kill whoever dares to provoke us. You have to understand the most important thing. Your father is working hard for. Let's not talk about some grand goal first. The most basic thing is that the Yi family will be stable and give you a stable living environment. Son, am I right? Yu Qing looked at her son after she finished speaking. You're tuning in to the Echoes of the Heart YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.